Phoenix Knights. Chapter 1956. Gong Ziyu could be considered Lin Feng's old rival. Lin Feng's reincarnation demon palace was snatched from Gong Ziyu's hands. As the son of the heavenly demon emperor, Gong Ziyu had been sealed for a long time. Now that he could see the light of day again, no one could stop his rise. Now this guy was quite bold. He swaggered into the land of the 9 states, and even came to the Red World Fairy's birthday banquet. Was he not afraid that others would kill him? Many people hated the heavenly demon clan. Therefore, if someone really wanted to kill Gong Ziyu, Lin Feng wouldn't be surprised. Of course, Gong Ziyu had many experts following him. Moreover, Gong Ziyu had the magic lotus on him. His methods were extremely strange. It wouldn't be easy to kill him. Gong Ziyu deliberately hid his aura. He probably didn't want to expose his identity as a heavenly demon. At this moment, Gong Ziyu had also stepped onto a stage. He was fighting with a cultivator. He didn't use the inheritance of the heavenly demon clan, nor did he display any powerful strength. He won by a narrow margin with one move. This guy is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Gong Ziyu obviously wanted to keep a low profile. After all, the identity of a heavenly demon was quite sensitive. After defeating his first opponent, Gong Ziyu suddenly heard someone calling him from afar. Gong Ziyu turned around and saw Lin Feng. "Why are you here in the land of the 9 states?" Lin Feng looked at Gong Ziyu with a smile that didn't look like a smile. Gong Ziyu couldn't help but roll his eyes. "Am I close to you? We are enemies, okay? Now you actually came over to greet me so shamelessly." Those who didn't know would think that they were old friends reunited. Gong Ziyu simply ignored Lin Feng. Lin Feng pointed at Gong Ziyu and shouted, "Everyone, this guy is Tian." Gong Ziyu was furious. He had worked so hard to hide his identity, but was he going to be exposed by that bastard Lin Feng? "Is there a problem with me coming to the 9 prefectures?" Lin Feng replied with a smile. "Of course, no problem. When you're free, use the magic lotus to sense the location of that bastard Mose Tianzuan's the magic lotus. I'm going to kill him and take the magic lotus." The magic lotus could sense each other. Therefore, Gong Ziyu's the magic lotus could indeed sense the location of Mose Tianzuan's the magic lotus. However, after hearing Lin Feng's words, Gong Ziyu suddenly had the urge to punch Lin Feng to death. The magic lotus was their heavenly demon clan's sacred artifact, okay. This guy actually wanted him to help him find the location of the magic lotus. He even said that he was going to take away the sacred artifact of the heavenly demon clan right in front of him. How could there be such a shameless person in this world? "You don't agree?" Lin Feng smiled at Gong Ziyu. Seeing Lin Feng's threatening gaze, Gong Ziyu sneered. Gong Ziyu gnashed his teeth in anger and said coldly, "I didn't say I didn't agree. Happy cooperation," Lin Feng said with a smile. "Happy my ass." Gong Ziyu couldn't help but curse in his heart. He realized that it was only when he was facing Lin Feng. That was why he was so angry that he lost his composure. Since Gong Ziyu had agreed, Lin Feng wasn't worried that Gong Ziyu would go back on his word. Although Gong Ziyu was a heavenly demon, Gong Ziyu was a person who kept his promises. Sometimes, the enemy often understood his enemy very well. Therefore, Lin Feng knew Gong Ziyu very well. And Gong Ziyu. He also knew Lin Feng very well. Soon, another person came up to challenge Gong Ziyu. This kind of battle was too easy for Gong Ziyu. On the other side, Fatso also went up to the arena. Fatso joined the reincarnation immortal sect together with Lin Feng. Lin Feng had never seen through Fatso. Fatso was full of secrets. And Fatso's cultivation was also very powerful. Just as Lin Feng had guessed, this guy easily defeated one of his opponents. The battles on the various arenas were still ongoing. Lin Feng saw many familiar people, such as young Master Han Han and the others from the reincarnation immortal sect. And Xia Shiyun and the others. They were all the saints and saintesses of the reincarnation immortal sect and were very powerful. It wasn't particularly difficult for them to defeat their opponents. In addition, Lin Feng also saw young Master Huang Quan, young Master Ming, young Master Xie and the others go up to the arena. He also saw Qinwu people, young experts from the evil Dragon Palace, and other forces go up to the arena. Of course, Lin Feng knew very few cultivators. Most of them. He didn't know them. The battle was very intense. From time to time, the top experts of the younger generation would meet each other. Then, an intense battle would unfold. From time to time, there would be waves of exciting cheers. So many experts were engaged in such an intense battle, mainly because there were too few spots. There were only 1,000 spots. To fight for a spot. Many people went all out. Only Lin Feng's arena remained unchallenged. Even some of the top experts didn't want to provoke Lin Feng. They weren't afraid of Lin Feng. The most important thing now was to get a spot. Of course, the best choice was to get a spot at the lowest price. Therefore, there was no need to challenge Lin Feng, a ruthless person. Even if they defeated Lin Feng, they would probably suffer great losses. In the end, someone might take advantage of them. There were also some cultivators who weren't confident of defeating Lin Feng. Thinking of how Lin Feng had beaten Sikong Yun half to death, they were even less willing to provoke Lin Feng. As for those cultivators who knew that their strength wasn't enough to threaten Lin Feng, they didn't even think about challenging Lin Feng. Therefore, after Lin Feng defeated Gu Daniu and Sikong Yun, no one came to challenge him again until the end of the arena challenge. Therefore, he basically watched others fight for 3 days. Lin Feng naturally wasn't just watching the show. When he watched some experts fight, he would also ponder deeply. Watching experts fight can often give him some inspiration in cultivation. This was also the reason why so many cultivators like to watch others fight. Not only to watch the show, but the biggest reason was that it was also helpful for their own cultivation. Dong dong dong, with the sound of 3 gongs and drums. The arena challenge officially ended. Cheers could be heard from many of the arenas. Because those cultivators who successfully defended the arena, they all got the opportunity to enter the Hongjun training hall. Many people were exhausted after a series of fierce battles. They knew how difficult it was to get this opportunity. You winners can cultivate in the Hongjun training hall for a month. There are many ancient Taoists in the Hongjun training hall. If you can comprehend them, you will benefit greatly. The Red World Fairy looked at the 1,000 winners. Many people were extremely excited. First, there was Hongjun training hall. Grand Supreme Elderly Lord, Primeval Lord of Heaven, Pangu, and Tongtian sect leader were all Hongjuan's disciples. It was obvious. Hongjuan's inheritance was so terrifying. The rise of the Red World Fairy was closely related to Hongjuan's orthodoxy. Naturally, everyone was looking forward to it. The Red World Fairy waved her right hand. A huge vortex appeared in the sky. Let's go! One by one, the cultivators who had successfully passed the trial flew towards the huge whirlpool. Chapter 1957. Whoosh! A light flashed. Everyone who had rushed into the vortex disappeared without a trace. And these people, obviously, they had all entered the Hongjun Dao field to cultivate. And King said, "Everyone, there will be a fleet to send everyone out today. Of course, everyone can choose to stay in the Red Dust Immortal sect for a few more days. Then let's stay for a few more days. It's not bad to admire the beauties of the Red Dust Immortal sect," a cultivator said with a smile. However, most cultivators chose to leave. "Is this the Hongjun Dao field?" Lin Feng looked at the huge Dao field in front of him. There was a platform in the depths of the Dao field. There was an ancient statue built there. It was the image of a Taoist. He had the demeanor of an immortal and was extraordinary. Lin Feng guessed that the Taoist was Taoist Hongjun. Although Taoism was not founded by Taoist Hongjun, it was founded by his 3 disciples. However, Taoism kept splitting later on. First, it split into Ren school, Chan school, and Jia school. Then, many sects were split into many sections. For example, the Great Void Temple, Mount Longhu, and other forces were all branches of Taoism. In fact, it was not just these forces. Strictly speaking, countless forces were related to Taoism. That was because Taoism was the first sect created after the creation of the world. As Taoism continued to split, some of the forces that split up only practiced mystical abilities and did not learn Tao. Therefore, they gradually left the jurisdiction of Taoism. In fact, strictly speaking, many forces were inextricably linked to Taoism. What a dense aura of Tao! Sensing the aura of the great Tao that filled the air, many people exclaimed, "Listen, it seems to be the sound of the heavenly Tao resonating." Suddenly, someone said. Everyone listened carefully. As expected, they heard the sound of the heavenly Tao resonating. This caused everyone to be extremely shocked. The Hongjun Tao field was indeed a holy land for cultivation. The sound of the resonance of heaven and earth resounded throughout the world. The concept of Tao enveloped all directions. If one obtained an opportunity here, it would definitely benefit them for the rest of their lives. Ancestor Hongjun, please let this junior have an epiphany. Many cultivators knelt down and bowed to Taoist Hongjun's statue. After bowing to Taoist Hongjun, they stood up. Then they found a place that they thought was good. They sat down cross-legged and began cultivating. Lin Feng didn't stop at the square. Because the Hongjun Tao field was very big, there was more than one place to comprehend the Tao. He had enmity with the Qinwu people and the evil Dragon Palace. It was better to find a secluded place to comprehend the Tao. If he were to comprehend the Tao on the square, it would be terrible if they were ambushed by these forces. The forest was vast. Lin Feng shuttled through the forest at high speed. Suddenly, he saw a chinchilla. The chinchilla was about 1 meter long. This was also a mutated species of heaven and earth. His body was like a cat's, but it had dragon horns. What surprised Lin Feng was that the chinchilla was actually sitting cross-legged. He was meditating and comprehending the Tao. He did not disturb the chinchilla. Lin Feng went to many places. He wanted to find a good place to practice cultivation. He also saw many ferocious beasts. The spirit beasts here were all sitting cross-legged in meditation, comprehending the heavenly Tao. Later, Lin Feng met a beautiful female cultivator. The female cultivator was wearing a snow-white dress. She was chasing a few spirit deer in the forest. She didn't look very old. She was about 17 or 18 years old. She was delicate and cute. When the female cultivator saw Lin Feng, she couldn't help but snort. She said unhappily, "Everyone else is comprehending the Tao. Why are you running around?" Lin Feng said. "Aren't you running around too?" The female cultivator said. "I'm different from you. This is my master's Tao field. I'm cultivating here." Lin Feng was surprised. Judging from the female cultivator's words, she seemed to be the Red World Fairy's disciple. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said with a smile, "I'm Lin Feng, a disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal sect. How should I address you, junior sister?" "Buying you," the girl said. "So it's junior sister Bai. I'm looking for a place to cultivate, but I haven't found it yet. I wonder if junior sister Bai can take me to an excellent place to cultivate?" Lin Feng said with a smile. "I know of a very special place, but why should I take you there?" Bai Yu snorted. Said Lin Feng. "Everybody loves Sister Bai. She's smart, she's beautiful, and she's kind. How could she refuse me?" Said Lin Feng. Bai Yu blushed slightly and said, "Am I as good as you say?" Bai Yu was still young. Moreover, she was cultivating by the Red World Fairy's side. She didn't know much about the world. When she heard Lin Feng praising her like this, she felt embarrassed. Lin Feng said, "My words just now can't describe junior sister Bai. A woman like junior sister Bai should only exist in the heavens. How many times can there be in the mortal world?" Bai Yu blushed and said, "Senior brother, you flatter me. Actually, I'm not as good as you say. Since senior brother is looking for a place to cultivate, then please follow me." When Bai Yu heard Lin Feng praising her, her impression of Lin Feng skyrocketed. Which woman didn't like to be praised? Moreover, Bai Yingyu was only a 17-year-old girl. Naturally, she was also vain. Bai Yingyu led the way while Lin Feng followed behind her. The demon lord said speechlessly, "Is it really okay to deceive such a naive girl?" Lin Feng rolled his eyes and transmitted, "Nonsense, when did I deceive junior sister Bai? Junior sister Bai is like a pure fairy, hard to find in the mortal world." The demon lord said in a strange tone, "No wonder you've provoked so many women. You're really universal. It seems like every time you see a beautiful woman, you praise them from the bottom of your heart, and don't flatter them just to get them into your bed. I really admire you." Lin Feng could naturally hear the sarcasm in the demon lord's words. He was too lazy to respond to the demon lord. Bai Yingyu brought Lin Feng into an ancient forest that was filled with restrictions and danger. Bai Yingyu said, "This is a forbidden place. It's a place where my master used to practice. I see that senior brother's requirements for a place to practice are quite strict, so I brought you here to practice. However, it's more difficult to have an epiphany in this place." Lin Feng said, "Thank you, junior sister. Whether or not I can gain enlightenment, as long as I work hard, I won't regret it." Bai Yingyu nodded. The two of them passed through many restrictions. A huge mountain range appeared in their line of sight. Bai Yingyu soared into the sky and flew toward the depths of the mountain range. Lin Feng followed closely behind. Finally, the two of them landed on the peak of the main mountain. Looking into the distance, a sea of clouds lingered. Mountains and steep ridges. The scenery was beautiful. His mood seemed to have become a lot better. That is... Suddenly, Lin Feng's pupils shrank. Chapter 1958. It was a stone man. Now, the stone man was sitting cross-legged, looking at the sea of clouds. This shocked Lin Feng. How could there be a stone man here? In the stone clan. The stone clan was definitely one of the top stone clans. And the strength of the stone clan was needless to say. "Stone man!" Lin Feng's voice became serious. At this time, Bai Yingyu said, "You don't have to worry, it hasn't been born yet." "You mean, it's still a stone man in the process of being born?" Lin Feng said in shock. "Yes. According to Master, when she obtained the Hongjun Dao field, this stone man was already here, looking at the sea of clouds and comprehending the heavenly Dao. So later, Master sat here with the stone man and comprehended together," Bai Yingyu said. Lin Feng was very surprised. He didn't expect there to be such a story. He walked towards the stone man and carefully looked at it. He saw that the stone man was sitting cross-legged, holding a flower with both hands, like a Buddhist monk, comprehending the heavenly Tao. Lin Feng couldn't help but touch his chin. This stone man was really extraordinary. It shocked and moved him. He put his hand on the stone man's body. Thump, thump, thump. Lin Feng was shocked. Because he could actually hear the sound of a heartbeat. This made him very moved. "Its vitality is very strong," Bai Yingyu said. Lin Feng nodded. This stone man's vitality was indeed very strong. Its heartbeat was very strong. He didn't know if it was because it was about to wake up. "You can stay here and cultivate. I'm going out. I don't want to stay here," Bai Yingyu said. "Junior sister, take care." Lin Feng waved at Bai Yingyu. Soon, he knew why Bai Yingyu didn't want to stay here. Because the stone man's hands were moving. The stone man's hands seemed to be changing seals. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng was so scared that he almost ran away. But fortunately, he still calmed his mind. Although the stone man was about to awaken, he had not fully awakened. At this stage, he should not be a threat. Seeing the stone man stop moving after changing the spell, Lin Feng was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. He sat cross-legged beside the stone man and closed his eyes to comprehend the great Tao. Boom! Suddenly, Lin Feng immediately sensed a destructive force approaching him. It enveloped him within. That power. It was simply suffocating. "Despicable creature, who are you?" Suddenly, a loud shout resounded. Lin Feng opened his eyes. Then, he saw a stone golem standing above him. Now, the stone golem's cold gaze was fixed on him. Has the stone man woken up? Lin Feng's face revealed an aghast expression. The stone man had awakened. To him, it was bound to be catastrophic. Lin Feng wanted to escape, but to his horror, he discovered something. His body had actually been imprisoned. Despicable creature, you dared to trespass on my cultivation grounds. You deserve to die. Suddenly, the stone man let out a cold roar. Rumble! The stone man stretched out his large hand and attacked Lin Feng. Lin Feng's face revealed a horrified expression. This was because when the stone golem attacked, he felt a dense aura of death enveloping his body. That feeling was simply too terrible. It was a feeling that was enough to make one's spirit collapse instantly. But soon, Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. The stone man's awakening was too sudden. Moreover, the stone man's aura seemed to be off. It was far worse than what he had imagined. Although the stone man gave Lin Feng a feeling that it was very powerful, it lacked the stone man's domineering aura of fighting against the heavens and earth. Illusion! Lin Feng's expression darkened. He hurriedly activated Lu Ye's stargazing chart. Suddenly, the stone man in front of him disappeared without a trace. When Lin Feng opened his eyes, he discovered. He sat cross-legged next to the stone man, but the stone man didn't move at all. My will almost collapsed. This stone man is really evil. It can actually affect my mind. If it was someone else just now, I'm afraid that their will would have collapsed, and they would have died from qi deviation. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. The stone man was really too strange. Too terrifying. Fortunately, the stone man didn't wake up. After he calmed down, he continued to close his eyes and began to comprehend here. Time passed slowly. Lin Feng was gradually immersed in a mysterious and profound state of mind. He felt as if he had turned into a stone statue that would remain motionless since ancient times, watching the sea of clouds every day. In the sea of clouds, there was a Tao that he needed. The Tao in the sea of clouds. It could help him wake up. Time passed slowly like this. Finally, one day, Lin Feng found that his body could move. However, at this stage, only his hand could move. The rest of his body couldn't move. Immediately after, it was another long time. Perhaps it was a year. Perhaps it was 10 years. Perhaps it was 100 years. Perhaps it was 1,000 years. Perhaps it was 10,000 years. Perhaps it was 1,000,000 years, 10,000,000 years, hundreds of millions of years. Perhaps it was even longer. Lin Feng found that he had lost track of time. And after such a long time, he could finally move. This was a body formed from stone. When the body stood up, it was already too late. It turned into a body of flesh and blood. Vaguely, he suddenly heard someone muttering to himself. After cultivating for hundreds of millions of years, the flesh and blood turned into stone man. The stone man watched the sea of clouds. If the flesh and blood were born, then it would be reincarnation. If the reincarnation appeared, then it would be eternal life. When he heard this voice, Lin Feng was very shocked. He could vaguely understand the meaning of this sentence. After cultivating for hundreds of millions of years, the flesh and blood turned into a stone man. The stone man sat here and watched the sea of clouds. If one day my body turned from stone man to flesh and blood, this would be a new reincarnation. And at this time, I would be able to obtain eternal life. Although the words were short. Although the content was also very short. But the contents of the book were too shocking. Eternal life was a fleeting legend. It was said that even immortals couldn't live forever. And this sentence contained some information about eternal life. What Lin Feng found most difficult to understand was that the flesh and blood turned into stone man. Some powerful stone man, after cultivating, might be able to take on the appearance of a human. But that was only the appearance of a human. Their bodies were still made of stone. Powerful cultivators could also transform into stone man, but this was only a transformation technique. Their bodies were still flesh and blood. So, This sentence contained too many things that Lin Feng felt puzzled. The divine picture appears, the cultivation method comes out, the stone man watches the sea of clouds. With a thought, he can become an immortal. With a thought, he can become a demon. At this time, another voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Chapter 1959. The ethereal voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Then, Lin Feng felt a huge amount of information surging into his mind. This information almost caused his mind to split open. There was too much information contained in this information, and it gave him a splitting headache. The intense pain soon disappeared. Lin Feng took a deep breath and used his divine will to invade the information he had obtained. Lin Feng found out. This information turned out to be a cultivation technique. This cultivation technique was called the sea watching scripture. There was also an introduction to the sea watching scripture. The sea watching scripture was divided into two parts. The upper part of the sea watching stone man could become an immortal, or a demon with a single thought. It only introduced the upper part of the sea watching scripture, not the lower part. This was because this was only the first half of the sea watching scripture. The first half of the sea watching scripture was equivalent to a quasi-immortal technique. If one could obtain the second half of the sea watching scripture, it would be equivalent to an immortal technique. After reading this introduction, Lin Feng took a deep breath. Quasi-immortal technique? Immortal technique? The sea watching scripture was so extraordinary. It's a pity that I only have the first half of the sea watching scripture. Lin Feng could not help but mutter regretfully. However, although he only had the first half of the sea watching scripture, this half of the sea watching scripture was equivalent to a quasi-immortal technique. It surpassed an emperor technique. Its power would be extremely terrifying. I'll cultivate the first half of the sea watching scripture successfully. I'll look for the second half of the sea watching scripture in the future. Lin Feng made up his mind. Suddenly, a powerful energy wrapped around his body. Is it time? Lin Feng was a little speechless. He did not expect to spend almost a month in seclusion this time. However, the only thing he was thankful for was that he had comprehended the sea watching scripture in time. If he had not comprehended it, he would have had to leave the Hongjun training hall. He would have missed the sea watching scripture. Whoosh! There was a flash of light. Lin Feng realized he was already outside, but he wasn't in the Hongchen celestial sect. This was the periphery of the space-time reversal sea region. From afar, one could see the space-time reversal storm raging in the space-time reversal sea region. Surrounded by the boundless sea, there was no one but Lin Feng himself. The Red World Ferry must have deliberately sent the cultivators who entered the Hongjun Taoist Hall out, and they appeared in different places. The Red World Ferry is really thoughtful. She sent them to different places. Even if there were cultivators who had designs on them, they would have no choice but to give up now. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. Lin Feng was flying above the boundless sea. Now he had two plans. The first plan was to return to the mainland and go to the evil Gu sect. He hoped to find a way to neutralize Li Yingdia's heart-biting Gu. His second plan was to establish his own forces in the overseas world. The overseas world was so huge. There were countless powerful cultivators. As long as he was willing to pay the price, he would definitely be able to form a powerful force. Moreover, as long as they were successful, he wouldn't even need to recruit them. There would definitely be many overseas rogue cultivators coming to join him. Everyone knew that it was better to lean against a big tree for shade. The demon lord seemed to know what Lin Feng was thinking and said, "The evil Gu sect is an evil force. With your current strength, you'll be courting death if you go to the evil Gu sect. Not only will you not be able to save Li Yingdi, but you'll also die. If you want a force like the evil Gu sect to agree to help you, there's only one way, and that is to be strong enough. Even if they're unwilling to help you, they'll have to consider whether it's worth offending you." Lin Feng nodded. He already understood what the demon lord wanted to say. The most important thing now was to establish his own force. It was impossible to go to the evil Gu sect alone. This force was too powerful. If he went, he probably wouldn't be able to come out alive. He had to go. He had to bring a group of experts with him. He had to go in a mighty manner. He had to let the evil goose sect know the power he had. Where should I go in the boundless sea? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. You can ask that little mermaid, the demon lord said. Myriad Star Island was located at the intersection of the Southern Immortal Sea, the Space-Time Reversal Sea, and the Returning Ruins Sea. This island was incomparably huge, and it was an important port for entering and exiting the three seas. It was also a very famous gathering place for itinerant cultivators on the sea. Countless powerful itinerant cultivators gathered here. And now, Lin Feng and Naza had arrived at Myriad Star Island. Naza had been here once before, so she still had some memories of many places. Oceanids could be seen everywhere on Myriad Star Island. Myriad Star Island had all kinds of people. Humans, Yao, Devil, Oceanids, and so on. They could all be seen on Myriad Star Island. There are many factions on Myriad Star Island, and these factions are all formed by itinerant cultivators. It's said that there are hundreds of factions of various sizes. We can ask around at the all-knowing pavilion for more details, Naza said. Lin Feng nodded. Every time one arrived at a place, it was very important to know the division of factions in that place. Lin Feng and Naza walked toward the all-knowing pavilion. The all-knowing pavilion had a wide range of sources of information. They could find out many secrets. Of course, the prerequisite was that one had enough money. This world was just so cruel. Without money, it was simply impossible to move an inch. Lin Feng and Naza arrived at the all-knowing pavilion together. They stayed at the all-knowing pavilion for 2 hours. Only then did the two of them leave. Then, Lin Feng and Naza looked for a place to stay. Lin Feng booked a courtyard in the Myriad Star Inn's Biyun district. Bang, bang, bang. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Naza went to open the door. She saw a slightly wretched-looking fatso standing outside. Who are you? What's the matter? Naza asked suspiciously. Fatso said, I am the person in charge of this Biyun district. I would like to see your young master. Come in. Lin Feng's voice came from inside. Naza led this fatso into the living room and poured 2 cups of tea. Seeing Fatso's hesitant look, Lin Feng knew that this fatso had some things that he couldn't say in front of Naza. Lin Feng said, Naza, go to the room and see if there is anything dirty. Clean it carefully. Naza nodded obediently, and went to the 2nd floor. Lin Feng said, If you have something to say, then say it. Young master, there will be an auction tonight. There will be several top-quality women being auctioned, Fatso said. This kind of thing happened everywhere. Naza was bought by Lin Feng at the auction. Those who could live here were either rich or noble. Therefore, Fatso came to ask Lin Feng. If they could help the auction house attract customers, they would get a commission. Lin Feng was not interested in this kind of auction. He said indifferently, Forget about this kind of thing. I am not interested. Fatso said, Young master, those women are not simple. One of them has the water spirit body, 2 of them have the Yin spirit body, and 2 of them have the ice spirit body. Lin Feng was slightly shocked. These were the 3 great dual cultivation physiques in the world of cultivators. If he were to dual cultivate with such women, his cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. Chapter 1960. Where's the auction going to be held? Lin Feng asked. If you want to go, there'll be a carriage coming to pick you up tonight, Fatso said. All right, Lin Feng said. Then I won't disturb you any longer. Fatso stood up and left. After waiting for Fatso to leave, Lin Feng walked towards his room and found that Naza was actually cleaning it. This girl was too naive. Brother Lin, you're done with your discussion, Naza said. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. I'll bring you to a place tonight. Get ready, we'll be heading out for dinner. Nazar nodded obediently, and went back to her room to dress up. Not long after, Lin Feng and Naza went out. They chose a restaurant and ordered a table full of dishes. Bei Bei and the Dragon Rabbit, these two greedy little cats couldn't help but fly out of the mountain river ring. They started eating meat and drinking wine. The two of them drank until they couldn't even stand straight. Lin Feng wanted to ask the four holy birds and the soul-devouring beast if they wanted to come out and enjoy the food. The four holy birds were in seclusion, and the soul-devouring beast wasn't interested in the food. To the soul-devouring beast, souls were the most delicious things. After having a good meal, Lin Feng and Na Zhao went back to their residence. There was already a carriage waiting for them outside. Fatso was waiting there as well. When he saw Lin Feng and Naza return, he smiled and said, "Young master, the carriage is ready. When will you be leaving?" "Let's go now," Lin Feng said. He then got on the carriage with Naza. "Young master, take care!" Fatso waved his hand. The carriage driver drove the carriage away. "Brother Lin, where are we going?" Naza asked. "The auction house," Lin Feng said. Naza's eyes lit up. "I heard that many treasures will appear at the auction house. I haven't been there yet. I'll be able to broaden my horizons today," Lin Feng said. "It's not an auction house for auctioning items, but an auction house for the auctioneer." "Huh!" Naza's pretty face turned pale with fright. She recalled the scene of her being auctioned off in the past, and her body trembled slightly. Lin Feng rubbed Nazar's head and said, "Don't be afraid. With me around, no one can hurt you." Naza nodded and moved closer to Lin Feng. Lin Feng could even smell the fragrance coming from Naza's body. Soon, they arrived at the auction house. This auction house was called the Blackstone Auction House. People came and went, and it was bustling with noise and excitement. Lin Feng and Nazar got off the carriage and walked towards the auction house. "A mermaid!" someone exclaimed in surprise. It was a man who looked to be around 30 years old. He wore a golden robe and had more than 20 attendants by his side. Moreover, each of them had a beautiful woman in their arms. After seeing Naza, the man couldn't take his eyes off her. "Young master, aren't we beautiful?" The two beauties were jealous, and they started to act coquettishly. "Compared to a mermaid, you two are just ordinary women." The man pushed away the two beauties in his arms. Lin Feng was rather surprised. Naza was in human form, yet this man could still tell that she was a mermaid. The man's eyes were very sharp. Naza could feel the naked desire in the man's eyes. Naza was so frightened that her face turned pale. She hid behind Lin Feng. "This little mermaid is your servant? Name a price." "How much?" the man asked in an unquestionable tone. "Scram," Lin Feng said coldly. The man was slightly stunned, and then he became angry. He said coldly, "Kid, do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like that? Are you tired of living? Who are you?" Lin Feng asked indifferently. "Tell him who I am." The man sneered. One of the servants behind him said arrogantly, "Our young master is the Whale Gang's young master, Zhang Zilong." "Never heard of you," Lin Feng said indifferently. Zhang Zilong had been sneering at Lin Feng, hoping to see a look of fear on Lin Feng's face. Then, he would threaten the kid. That way, the little mermaid would be his. Zhang Zilong's plan was perfect. But who would have thought, the plan was perfect, but reality was cruel? When Lin Feng said, "I've never heard of him," Zhang Zilong's mouth twitched violently. In Zhang Zilong's eyes, Lin Feng was mocking him on purpose. A cold light flashed in Zhang Zilong's eyes. The Whale Gang was ranked 12th on Myriad Stars Island. They had over 10,000 members, and they were very powerful. That was why Zhang Zilong had taken advantage of the Whale Gang's reputation to kidnap women and commit all sorts of atrocities. He had done many heartless things. However, no one dared to say anything. The Whale Gang was too powerful. Ordinary people couldn't afford to offend them. Zhang Zilong was a notorious thug on Myriad Stars Island. Everyone feared him. But today, Zhang Zilong felt an unprecedented rage. Because in his opinion, Lin Feng was provoking him and provoking him. "You reckless fool. Break this kid's legs and throw him out. Send the little beauty back to me. I'll enjoy her when I get back, Zhang Zilong ordered. Yes, young master. Zhang Zilong's servants hurriedly responded, then surrounded Lin Feng. Clearly, he had done this before. He had long since gotten used to it. Who knew how many times he had done it? Look, isn't that Zhang Zilong? Who is that kid? He actually offended Zhang Zilong. He's doomed. Offending Zhang Zilong on Myriad Stars Island won't end well. There were all kinds of people going in and out of the auction house. Many people recognized Zhang Zilong. When they saw Zhang Zilong's subordinates surround Lin Feng, they immediately began to discuss. Clearly, no one was optimistic about Lin Feng's chances. Many people guessed that Lin Feng had just arrived on Myriad Stars Island, so he didn't know who Zhang Zilong was. That was why he offended Zhang Zilong. In many people's eyes, Lin Feng had offended Zhang Zilong. He was doomed. Zhang Zilong was a notorious thug. What kind of heartless things hadn't he done? In the past, he had even raped a man's wife in front of her husband. He was worse than a beast. But who told Zhang Zilong to have such a powerful backer? He still lived a carefree life. Just when everyone thought that Lin Feng was doomed, everyone was shocked to see Lin Feng step forward, a powerful aura emanating from his body. Thump, thump, thump. Lin Feng walked towards Zhang Zilong step by step. Zhang Zilong's guards couldn't bear the powerful aura emanating from Lin Feng's body and all knelt on the ground. Chapter 1961. Heavens, how is this possible? What's that kid's cultivation? Many people couldn't help but cry out in alarm, their faces filled with shock. Lin Feng hadn't even made a move. He'd only released his aura. So many experts couldn't bear it, and knelt on the ground. After all, among the kneeling guards, there were 7 or 8 divine flame cultivators. Among independent cultivators, divine flame cultivators were considered experts. Lin Feng had used his aura to suppress so many experts. How strong did he have to be to do that? Could it be a true divinity realm cultivator? That kid is so young, but he's already a true god. He shouldn't be an independent cultivator. He's probably from a major faction. That's right. He's most likely a disciple of a major faction who's passing through Myriad Stars Island. This is interesting. I wonder how that kid will deal with Zhang Zilong. Zhang Zilong might not be a good person, but he's the only son of the whale gang's leader. If he touches him, he'll have a complete falling out with the whale gang. Even a powerful dragon can't suppress a local snake. Many people were discussing the matter. They didn't lower their voices, as if deliberately letting Lin Feng hear them. They were using this method to tell Lin Feng not to touch Zhang Zilong. Once Zhang Zilong was touched, it would be a huge disaster. Lin Feng was grateful for the warning. However, Lin Feng didn't plan on letting Zhang Zilong off. What the hell? How dare he try to touch the woman by my side? He really doesn't know the difference between life and death. You, what do you want? Let me tell you, my father is the leader of the whale gang, a famous faction on Myriad Stars Island. He's a peak expert on Myriad Stars Island, a celestial god. If you dare touch me, you'll be finished. No one will be able to save you then. Zhang Zilong threatened. He wanted to use his father to scare Lin Feng away. A celestial god? Lin Feng sneered. Even if your father comes, I can still crush him. When he heard Lin Feng's arrogant words, Zhang Zilong was stunned. Zhang Zilong suddenly became speechless. The people who were watching the show were also stunned. The corner of his mouth twitched violently. Wasn't this guy too arrogant? He actually dared to say that he could crush a heavenly god powerhouse to death? Bragging didn't cost money. You can brag as much as you want, right? Kid, who do you think you are? You actually dare to say such reckless words? Zhang Zilong glared at Lin Feng. A mere heavenly god is nothing to me. Even if an ancestor-level cultivator comes, I can still kill them, Lin Feng said indifferently. Many people began to wail. Big brother, can you please stop bragging? In the eyes of the surrounding people, Lin Feng was simply too good at bragging. They had never seen someone as good at bragging as Lin Feng. Zhang Zilong said with a gloomy look. You do have some strength, but you've gone too far. This was the Myriad Stars Island. If you're a dragon, you should be coiled up. If you're a tiger, you should be lying on the ground. Puff! As soon as Zhang Zilong finished speaking, a tearing sound was heard. Ah! Zhang Zilong couldn't help but let out a miserable cry. The tendon of Zhang Zilong's right leg was directly cut off by Lin Feng. Puff! A second tearing sound was heard. Zhang Zilong's left leg's tendon was also cut off. Zhang Zilong fell to the ground. Puff! Puff! Next, 2 more tearing sounds were heard in succession. The tendons on Zhang Zilong's arms were also cut off by Lin Feng. Blood kept gushing out. Everyone looked at Lin Feng in shock. No one had expected this. Lin Feng actually cut off Zhang Zilong's tendons. What was the difference between this and crippling Zhang Zilong? A devilish smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. He looked at Zhang Zilong and said with a smile, How dare a trash like you offend me? Normally, you would be a dead man. But for a scum like you, killing you is too easy. I should cripple you. That's the biggest punishment for you. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng raised his right hand. Another sword energy swept out. This time, it swept directly between Zhang Zilong's legs. Puff! A tearing sound was heard. Blood splattered. Ah! Zhang Zilong let out a miserable cry. At that moment, many male cultivators who were watching the show couldn't help but clamp their legs together. Everyone looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a devil. Zhang Zilong was actually not finished after being crippled. He actually made Zhang Zilong unable to be a man. However, many people felt very satisfied. This Zhang Zilong made many people gnash their teeth in hatred. Who knew how many people wanted nothing more than to tear him to shreds? However, Zhang Zilong was backed by the Whale Gang. Who dared to offend him? Now that Zhang Zilong was crippled, the rest of his life would be worse than death. Many people felt very satisfied. Let's go. Lin Feng looked at Naza and said. Then, he and Naza entered the auction house together. Damn, this kid didn't run after crippling Zhang Zilong? This guy is not only good at bragging, but he also has guts. After crippling Zhang Zilong, not only did he not run, he actually swaggered into the auction house. Isn't he afraid that the Whale Gang will come to stop him? Does he have something to rely on? Maybe he has some powerful magic treasure on him. That's really possible. If he has a powerful magic treasure on him, that would explain why this kid is so good at bragging. The Whale Gang won't let this go. Let's just wait here and watch the show. The surrounding cultivators all began to talk. Quickly carry the young master back. The guard beside Zhang Zilong said. Then, a group of people carefully carried the unconscious Zhang Zilong away. The Blackstone auction house was a 100-meter-tall building. In a room on the top floor, 2 women had witnessed the entire dispute. One of the 2 women wore a black gauze dress. She had a charming and seductive aura, as alluring as a vixen. The other woman had an ice-cold appearance. She was completely different from the charming woman. This woman with a cold personality was also a peerless beauty. She was as cold as ice, like a fairy from the Moon Palace. This person is quite interesting, the charming woman said. What? Are you interested? The icy cold woman said with an indifferent expression. Her beautiful face always seemed to have this kind of cold expression. It's not easy to find such an interesting man nowadays. I'll go down and investigate him, the charming woman said with a smile. Then she swayed her slender waist and walked outside. She was truly charming. Chapter 1962. The auction house was huge, and there were all sorts of items being auctioned here. Of course, the items being auctioned here were people. Beautiful women, beastman slaves, devil slaves, human slaves, demon slaves, and so on. Anything that one could think of. Everything was here. Everything could be found. There were a total of 12 auctions here. The higher one went, the higher the standard of the auctions. 5 top-grade cultivation cauldrons were being auctioned on the 12th floor. Lin Feng and Naza arrived at the 12th floor. The place was already packed with people. When they arrived on the 12th floor, Lin Feng saw a beautiful woman walking towards him and Naza. The charming woman bowed slightly to Lin Feng before she smiled and said, "Young master, is this your first time here?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right. This is my first time here." The woman smiled and asked, "Young master, may I know your name?" Lin Feng replied calmly, "I'm Lin Feng." "Oh? Lin Feng? The Lin Feng from the Reincarnation Immortal sect?" The woman looked at Lin Feng in surprise. Clearly, she had heard of Lin Feng's name before. However, she was surprised to see him here. She also did not expect Lin Feng to not hide his identity. Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right. Fairy, may I know your name?" "My name is Yu Lianwei. Young master, you can call me Lianwei or Weier." The woman smiled and said. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter inwardly, "Beauty, this is our first time meeting. Aren't you being too enthusiastic? Isn't that a little too intimate? Others might think that we're old lovers. You're not thinking of seducing me, right?" Lin Feng naturally wouldn't say these words out loud. He smiled at Yu Lianwei and said, "Then I'll call you Fairy Wei from now on. It'll sound more intimate." Yu Lianwei smiled charmingly and said, "Young master, you're so considerate." Lin Feng smiled at Yu Lianwei and asked, "Fairy, do you work in this auction house?" Yu Lianwei replied, "I'm the vice president of the auction house." Lin Feng was a little surprised. He hadn't thought that Yu Lianwei's identity would be so extraordinary. It seemed that this woman's background was very deep. Otherwise, she wouldn't have taken on such a heavy responsibility at such a young age. Yu Lianwei smiled and said, "This isn't the place to talk. Why don't we go to a private room?" "Thank you for leading the way, Weier." Lin Feng nodded. "You don't have to be so polite, young master." Yu Lianwei charmingly smiled and then led the way. The way she walked was really nice. It fully displayed the beauty of a woman. After entering the private room, a maidservant poured spirit tea for the 3 of them. Yu Lianwei glanced at Naza and said, "This little mermaid is really amazing. No wonder the prince was so angry. If I was a man, I would definitely be like him." Lin Feng said, "Naza is the one who deserves my life." When Naza heard Lin Feng's words, tears welled up in her eyes. She looked so pitiful. She looked so pitiful. Yu Lianwei smiled and said, "I heard that you caused a huge commotion in the returning ruins. I thought that you would return to the Reincarnation Immortal sect to avoid trouble. I didn't expect you to come to Myriad Stars Island. If you head northeast, you'll reach the sea region controlled by the 9th evil dragon. The Supreme Immortal sect is also very powerful there. In addition, Fusang Island has also supported some forces there. Kinwu people are constantly guarding Myriad Stars Island." Lin Feng said, "Thank you for your concern, Fairy. I've already made up my mind about this." Yu Lianwei nodded and smiled. "What do you plan to buy at this auction? Slaves? Or beauties?" Lin Feng's heart stirred. He asked, "How strong are the slaves in this auction?" Yu Lianwei replied, "Naturally, there are strong and weak ones. The prices vary." Dong, dong, dong. At this moment, 3 gongs and drums sounded. The auction had officially begun. An enchanting woman walked up to the auction stage. She smiled and said, "I'm Guaning, the auctioneer for this auction. Thank you for coming to our Blackstone auction house. There will be some excellent items in tonight's auction. I guarantee that you won't be disappointed." At this moment, 2 men walked up with an iron cage. Inside the cage, there was a white-clothed woman. She had a fox's tail. The fox's tail swayed back and forth. Moreover, that woman was also flirting with him. She attracted the attention of a group of men. It was a woman from the Fox clan. This woman was nurtured by our auction house. She still has her primordial yin and knows many ways to serve men. Are you interested, young master? Yu Lianwei smiled and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng shook his head. He did not lack women. Therefore, Lin Feng had no intention of bidding for an ordinary woman. I'm sure everyone knows how a woman from the Fox clan looks, so there's no need for me to explain. This woman from the Fox clan is an extremely rare Fox clan woman with a spirit tail. She's the best of the best. The starting price is 300,000 origin crystals. The minimum bid increment is 30,000. Let the bidding begin. 400,000. 500,000. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, many people began to bid. The price soared. It did not take long for the price to break 1 million origin crystals and continue to rise. How much was a slave worth? It was worthless. However, if an auction house auctioned it, it would be worth a lot. Many people from large factions sought the thrill of being able to do whatever they wanted in an auction. Therefore, they would often be very generous. In the end, the woman from the Fox clan was sold for 5 million origin crystals. It's really easy to earn money from an auction house, Lin Feng muttered to himself. Next, the auction items were brought out one by one. Beautiful women from various clans. It was simply dazzling. Some of the women were cultivated by the auction house, while others were slaves purchased from other places. There were also some women obtained through other channels. These women's identities were naturally different. However, no matter what their identities were in the past, they were now just auction items. Lin Feng had been watching from the sidelines and did not participate in any of the bidding. Rumble! Rumble! A series of loud noises rang out. Then, a huge iron cage was pushed onto the auction stage. In the iron cage, there were chains that bound a 3-meter-tall orc. This orc looked very similar to a human, but its physique was much larger than a human's. This was also a characteristic of the orc race. Its body was incomparably strong. It's very rare to see an orc that has evolved so perfectly. Lin Feng could not help but look at the orc in the iron cage in surprise. P.S. The Archean Dragonesque Elephant Skill Book was released on August 9th last year. Until today, Old Mantu has updated 2 million words in a year. He is one of the best in the entire online literature world. I dare to ask for monthly votes, recommendation votes, and rewards for this 1-year anniversary. Thank you, everyone. Chapter 1963. This beast man is called Wanyan Yang. He's the young master of a primitive tribe. It's said that this tribe used to be very powerful, but as time passed, the tribe gradually declined. However, this tribe possessed a powerful treasure. Later, they were targeted by others and were exterminated. Now, there aren't many of them left. Those who survived have all become slaves, Yu Lianwei said. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Their fate is very tragic. In the world of cultivators, there are too many people whose fates are very tragic. Yes, this is a world where people eat people without spitting out the bones. Yu Lianwei sighed and said, Everyone, this beast man is called the Heavenly Mark Beast Man, one of the most ancient beast man tribes. This beast man slave is called Wanyan Yang. He can tear a giant dragon apart with his bare hands. He's definitely a very powerful slave. With such a slave by your side as a guard, your safety is guaranteed. The auctioneer began to introduce Wanyan Yang. Many people began to talk about it. To be able to tear a giant dragon apart with his bare hands, this was definitely a terrifying expert. Thus, the beastman Wanyan Yang attracted the attention of many people. The auctioneer continued. Wanyan Yang's starting price is 2 million. Each increment must be no less than 200,000. The auction starts now. 2, 3 million. 2, 5 million, 3 million. Many people participated in the competition. Wanyan Yang's value was incomparable to those female slaves. Those female slaves were only sold for pleasure. But Wanyan Yang was an expert. There were many female slaves that could be bought at any time. However, a powerful beastman slave like Wanyan Yang was too rare. Wanyan Yang's price continued to soar. It didn't take long for it to break through 10 million origin crystals. However, this price didn't stop. Soon, it broke through 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. Finally, the price stopped at 120 million origin crystals. At 120 million origin crystals, no one was bidding anymore. Just when everyone thought that the auction would end at this price, a voice suddenly resounded in the auction hall. 200 million! Lin Feng shouted his bid. He, young master is really rich, Yu Lianwei said with a smile. Lin Feng smiled and said, This amount of money is nothing to me. It's not even worth mentioning. This concubine has indeed heard of it. The outside world says that young master's money seems to be inexhaustible. Could it be that young master has obtained several immortal mansions? There's a huge amount of wealth inside? Yu Lianwei probed. Lin Feng said with a smile. It's not convenient to talk about this. Yu Lianwei snorted and said, Young master is so bad. You didn't even tell me such a thing. It's not a secret. Yu Lianwei's voice was so soft that it could seep into one's bones. However, Lin Feng looked calm and collected. What kind of woman had he not seen before? Yu Lianwei was beautiful. However, it was still difficult for his mental state to fluctuate too much. In the end, Lin Feng successfully bought the beast man Wanyan Yang for 200 million origin crystals. Following that, another auction item was pushed out one after another. Among them, there was no lack of experts with extraordinary strength. Lin Feng continued to bid for several powerful slaves. Soon, another auction item was pushed onto the stage. This time, it was a woman. Moreover, it was a very beautiful woman. However, there was not a trace of emotion in this woman's eyes. Her body also emitted waves of cold aura. This female slave is called Butterfly. She was originally a member of an assassin organization. However, this assassin organization was destroyed and this woman was captured. Everyone, this woman is not simple. She has a heavenly god cultivation base and is proficient in all kinds of assassination techniques. It is said that a giant god-level powerhouse personally took action to suppress her. The starting price of this woman is 10 million origin crystals. Each increment must not be less than 1 million. The auction begins now, the female auctioneer said. Boom! The entire auction house was in an uproar. A heavenly god-level female assassin was now a slave. Anyone would be tempted. 15 million! 20 million! Soon many people participated in the bidding. The bidding became even more intense. Not long after, it broke through 100 million. And it was still rising. The final price reached 300 million. A heavenly god-level female assassin. Many times. She could indeed help her master do many things. Moreover, such a female assassin's ability was outstanding and could be trained into a powerful team of assassins. 400 million! Lin Feng bid. Many people began to discuss because Lin Feng had already bid for many slaves. And he was generous. Now that Lin Feng had participated in the bidding for this female assassin, the other competitors were in trouble. 420 million! Someone continued to raise the price. 1 billion! Lin Feng said indifferently. Suddenly, the entire auction house became silent. Many people were smiling bitterly. Lin Feng did not treat money as money at all. If this continued, who could afford to play? In the end, this female assassin was bought by Lin Feng for 1 billion. Next, another auction item was pushed out for auction. However, Lin Feng did not participate in the bidding after that. Until 5 cultivation furnaces were pushed out. Of these 5 women, 1 was a demon girl, 1 was a demon girl, 2 were human girls, and 1 was an angel girl. Everyone, these 5 women are the highlight of this auction. This time, our auction house intends to auction all 5 of them at once. The starting price of the 5 cultivation furnaces is 15 million origin crystals. The minimum bid increment must not be less than 1.5 million. The female auctioneer said. This kind of bundled auction would naturally cause many people to be dissatisfied. This was because many people originally wanted to buy a cultivation furnace at a high price. But now that the 5 furnaces were bundled together, Obviously, if they wanted to buy them, the difficulty level would greatly increase. And the competition would definitely be extremely fierce. After a short period of peace, someone then shouted out a bid. 20 million. But soon, this cultivator's bid was drowned out by the new bids that came out one after another. 23 million. 25 million. 30 million. The price soared. Not long after, it reached 100 million. However, it did not stop and continued to rise. Soon, it broke through the 500 million mark. However, there were still many cultivators participating in the bidding and did not withdraw. Obviously, many cultivators were determined to get the 5 cultivation furnaces. Young master can buy them. 5 cultivation furnaces. It shouldn't be a problem to raise them by 2 or 3 realms, Yu Lianwei said with a smile. In this world of cultivators, the strong were respected. Powerful male cultivators had many wives and concubines. Of course, some powerful female cultivators even kept many male slaves. Therefore, everyone was used to the private lives of male and female cultivators. Chapter 1964. The bidding was getting more and more intense, and the price was getting higher and higher. When the price reached 1.6 billion, the cultivators started to withdraw. 2 billion! When Lin Feng saw that it was about time, he shouted out a bid. It's this guy again, everyone, since there are 5 human cauldrons, let's work together and discuss how we should auction them later. What do you think? Some of the cultivators started to communicate with each other. Lin Feng's appearance made them feel pressured, and they felt that it would be difficult to win the bid. Only by working together would they have a chance. No problem. Let's work together then. Soon, they reached an agreement. 1 billion. One of them shouted out a new bid. Seeing that the price was still rising to 2 billion, many people became excited. Both sides seemed to be going against each other. There was going to be a good show to watch. 10 billion! Lin Feng said calmly. Soon, the entire auction house became so silent that one could hear a pin drop. The cultivators who had joined hands to bid were trembling. Then, their faces turned gloomy. Isn't he too rich? He had raised the price from 1 billion to 10 billion in one go. He really doesn't care about money at all. In the private room, after hearing Lin Feng's bid, Yu Lianwei's pink lips opened slightly. She was obviously shocked. Everyone outside was in a state of deep shock. How rich is this guy? How can he be so extravagant? Humph! How dare he show off his wealth? He's courting death! Some people were secretly communicating, revealing their killing intent. The fastest way to get rich was to kill others and steal their treasures. This was too common. Now that Lin Feng had revealed that he had so many treasures, it was natural that many people were interested in him. Yu Lianwei said, Although I'm from the auction house and hope that the auction house can sell the items for a sky-high price, I'm also a friend of young master. From a friend's point of view, I'm afraid that young master will cause some trouble by revealing his wealth tonight. Lin Feng smiled. Trouble? If those people were here, not only would we be able to recoup our expenses, we might even be able to make a profit. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Yu Lianwei immediately knew what Lin Feng was thinking. She smiled bitterly. The 5 cultivation furnaces were bought by Lin Feng for 10 billion. Lin Feng wasn't interested in watching the rest of the auction. He and Naza followed Yu Lianwei out of the box. After arriving at the VIP lounge, Lin Feng paid the full amount. Yu Lianwei then took out a jade tube. She handed the jade tube to Lin Feng and said, Every slave has a special slave mark. This jade tube contains the method to control their slave mark. It's very simple. You should be able to learn it after reading it a few times. Once you master the method, you'll be able to control their slave mark. Once you control their slave mark, you'll be able to control their lives. They'll never be able to betray you. Lin Feng nodded and scanned the contents with his divine sense. This was a spell to control the slave mark. After circulating it twice, he grasped it. Moreover, he could vaguely sense a dozen emotions. These emotions were transmitted to him by the slaves. There were emotions of despair, fear, uneasiness, coldness. Everyone's emotions were different. Lin Feng asked Yulianwei to bring in the slaves. Before long, the slaves were all brought in. The slaves stood in a row. Yulianwei said, "This is your new master, Lin Feng, Lin Gongzi. You're lucky to be able to follow Lin Gongzi." "Greetings, master." The slaves bowed to Lin Feng. They would rather become slaves than die. This meant that they wanted to live. Perhaps it was because of hatred or some other reason. However, they didn't want to die. Since they didn't want to die, they had to be respectful to their master. Only then would they be able to live. Lin Feng didn't respond. Instead, he carefully examined the slaves. The female assassin, Butterfly, should be at the 6th or 7th layer of the heavenly god realm. Moreover, she was an assassin. Her methods were very strange. Ordinary heavenly gods would have a hard time capturing her even if they could defeat her. It was no wonder that a giant god realm expert had to personally take action to suppress her. The beastman Wanyan was also at the 3rd layer of the heavenly god realm. Of course, as the most ancient beastman race, the heavenly pattern beastman race, his talent was heaven-defying. Moreover, it was said that beastmen who awakened heavenly patterns were even more powerful. Apart from these two who had reached the heavenly god realm, there were 8 other slaves. All of them were quasi-heavenly god realm experts. Their strength wasn't bad. That was why Lin Feng had bought them. Of the 5 female slaves, 2 were at the true god realm. The remaining 3 were at the divine flame realm. They weren't very strong, but they weren't weak either. I know that some of you are alive for various reasons. Perhaps it's because of unavenged hatred or other reasons. However, since you've become my slaves, I won't restrict you from taking revenge or doing other things. Moreover, as long as you're loyal and devoted, I'll remove your slave status and restore your freedom in the future." Lin Feng's voice was sonorous and forceful. For these slaves, removing their slave status was naturally the most attractive thing to them. As expected, when Lin Feng mentioned removing their slave status, their eyes lit up. Everyone's eyes suddenly lit up. This subordinate will definitely be loyal and devoted to serve master. The group hurriedly expressed their loyalty to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. He glanced at Yulianwei and said, "Waiter, it's getting late. We'll be heading back first." Yulianwei smiled. "I'll send the young master off through the safe passage. I don't want to be blocked by the whale gang and cause trouble. A mere whale gang can be destroyed with the flick of a finger. It's no big deal. There's no need to be so careful," Lin Feng said calmly. Yulianwei smiled. "Then I'll send the young master off." Lin Feng nodded. Lin Feng walked out of the auction house with Yulianwei accompanying him. Yulianwei was on his left, and Na Zhao was on his right. 2 beautiful women accompanied him, drawing envious gazes from time to time. A group of slaves followed behind them. These slaves' impression of Lin Feng stopped at the fact that he was especially rich. The slaves were also trying to guess Lin Feng's identity. Could he be the successor of some top-tier faction? Yulianwei escorted Lin Feng and the others out of the auction house. As soon as they came out, several hundred cultivators swarmed over and surrounded Lin Feng's group. "Look, that kid came out! He's been surrounded by the whale gang!" Many cultivators who were waiting outside to watch the show pointed at Lin Feng and the others, who were surrounded at the entrance of the auction house. Chapter 1965. "Brat! How dare you cripple our young master? You must be tired of living! Brothers, let's attack together and tear this brat into 1,000 pieces!" A quasi-heavenly god expert roared. "Kill!" Several hundred people roared and charged at Lin Feng's group. They were all members of the whale gang. There was no order to the fights between these gangs. Everything was chaotic. That was why so many cultivators charged forward. "Deal with them," Lin Feng ordered calmly. "Yes, master!" Butterfly, Wanyan Yang, and the others answered. Then, they all charged forward. 2 heavenly god-stage powerhouses. 8 quasi-celestial gods. Such a force would be considered the best of the best no matter where they went. Not to mention, the strongest of the whale gang members were only quasi-celestial gods. In front of Butterfly, Wan Yen Yang, and the others, they were nothing more than a mob. Pooh! Pooh! The sound of something being torn apart rang out one after another. This was a completely one-sided battle. Lin Feng's subordinates snatched some weapons from the whale gang members. Then, they slaughtered their way into the crowd. It was as if they had entered a no-man's land. Corpses fell one after another. Not long after, several hundred people were killed. Not a single one managed to escape. Heavens! How are those people so powerful? Wasn't that brat alone when he entered the auction house? Why are there so many people following him? Could they all be slaves bought from the auction house? That's very likely. But those slaves are so strong that they're freakishly strong. Especially that woman and that beast man. They could kill a dozen whale gang members with a single move. They're not even on the same level. That Brad is definitely not a simple character. Many cultivators who were watching the show discussed spiritedly. Their hearts were filled with shock. Master! It's been dealt with, Butterfly said. Lin Feng nodded. He stepped over the corpses and walked into the distance. Everyone followed behind Lin Feng and quickly left. After Lin Feng left, Yu Lianwei went to the room on the top floor. That frosty woman was standing by the window, watching Lin Feng and the others leave in a daze. The woman said, "This person appeared on Myriad Star Island. Looks like he's not just passing by." Yu Lianwei said, "This person spends money like water. Who knows how much wealth he has? Moreover, he had bought so many powerful slaves at a high price. His goal is definitely not simple. I think this person wants to establish his own force overseas. Quite ambitious." The woman who was as cold as ice said. This woman was called Ling Qiuchan. Like Yu Lianwei, he was also the vice president of the auction house. Which man doesn't want to make a name for themselves? Hold great power? Moreover, this was the 9 prefectures. The various powers were trying to set up an independent regime. Who wouldn't want to be a king? Without power in their hands, they were destined to be nothing more than passers-by in the 9 prefectures. Like a fleeting cloud, vanishing with the wind. Yu Lianwei said. Yes. Ling Qiuchan nodded and asked, "What do you plan to do? This man has piqued my interest." Yu Lianwei said with a charming smile. Her enchanting figure lay lazily on the soft sofa, outlining her perfect curves. It was enough to make one's blood boil. The whale gang has someone supporting them. They won't let this matter rest. Ling Qiuchan said. The 9th evil dragon? That's indeed a huge problem. From what I know, this person has a grudge with the evil dragon palace. It seems like the 9th evil dragon will send experts to kill him together with the whale gang. For now, let's just wait and see, Yu Lianwei said. The evil dragon palace is extremely powerful. If he wants to establish his own force in the sea, he will have to face many difficulties. The evil dragon palace is one of them, Ling Qiuchan said. If he really wants to establish himself in the sea, he will have to face more than just the evil dragon palace, Yu Lianwei said. After returning to his residence, Lin Feng asked Naza to arrange a place for everyone to stay. Lin Feng, Naza, and the other women stayed upstairs. The rest of the people lived downstairs. Lin Feng conversed with the 5 female slaves. The demon slave was called Mo. The name sounded a little strange, but it was in line with the demon race's characteristics. The demon slave was called Suer. The 2 human slaves were sisters. The elder sister was called Juzaik, and the younger sister was called Julioji. The angel slave was called Enya. The 5 female slaves were somewhat unnatural when facing Lin Feng. They knew why Lin Feng had bought them. They also knew what their fate was. However, they were still very shy. The only thing that made them rejoice was that the person who had bought them was a young and handsome man. He wasn't one of those old men. Lin Feng didn't have them serve him. He just wanted to get to know them for now. Then, he left and returned to his own room. Wanyan Yang requests an audience with Master. Wanyan Yang's voice came from outside. Lin Feng said, "Come in." Wanyan Yang pushed open the door and entered, then bowed to Lin Feng. "What? Is something the matter?" Lin Feng looked at Wanyan Yang. "Master, this subordinate has a presumptuous request," said Wanyan Yang. "Tell me," said Lin Feng. "There is still a group of people from my clan who are imprisoned in the slave market. Because they are old, weak, sick, and disabled, very few people would buy them. Master, please be merciful and save them," Wanyan Yang pleaded. A hero at the end of his road. Seeing Wanyan Yang, Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. His clan used to be at its peak, but it gradually declined. Now, it was close to being exterminated. Wanyan Yang had become a slave, and there was nothing he could do. It made one sigh. "All right, bring me to the slave market tomorrow," said Lin Feng. "Many thanks, Master." Wanyan Yang thanked Lin Feng profusely. After Wanyan Yang left, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. He had bought a slave. He actually wanted to save the slave's clan. What was going on? Who asked this young master to be so kind-hearted? Lin Feng couldn't help but praise his noble character. The next day, Lin Feng followed Wanyan Yang to the slave market. The slave market on Myriad Stars Island was huge. On this trip to the slave market, Lin Feng planned to buy some powerful slaves. These slaves could become his first batch of subordinates when he established a force overseas. Lin Feng strolled around the slave market for half a day and bought all the slaves at the True God realm and above. There were about 1,000 people in total. Most of these slaves with decent strength were captured by the defeated side after some large forces killed each other for vengeance. It would be a pity to kill them directly. Therefore, he might as well sell them to human traffickers. He could also earn a large sum of origin crystals. Why not? Chapter 1966. Currently, Wanyan Yang had over 300 clansmen. Most of them were old people, but there were also some women and children. Lin Feng also bought them. Lin Feng arranged accommodations for these slaves. He stayed for another day and bought all kinds of necessities. Lin Feng planned to leave. He had gathered many experts under his command. It was time to find a place to establish his own force. Lin Feng took out the ancient starship Xianyuan, and everyone boarded it. Then, the ancient ship flew out of Myriad Star Island. When they arrived outside Myriad Star Island, suddenly, loud rumbling sounds could be heard. Ancient warships flew out one after another. These ancient warships flew the evil dragon flag. Clearly, they were from the evil dragon palace. The evil dragon palace's ancient warships surrounded the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. The evil dragon palace's warships! It must be the whale gang's Zhang Shu Xian who went to call for reinforcements. When Zhang Shu Xian founded the whale gang, the evil dragon palace's people secretly helped him. The whale gang is just a tool for the evil dragon palace to amass wealth. News of the conflict between Lin Feng and the whale gang had spread. Some people had been secretly observing the development of the situation. Therefore, when they saw the ancient warships of the evil dragon palace surrounding Lin Feng's Xianyuan, they began to discuss it. Of course, most people didn't understand what was going on. Who was inside the ancient ship surrounded by the evil dragon palace's ancient warships? Lin Feng, you brat! You won't be able to escape today! A cold voice rang out. Then, the Longyuan sect walked out of the main warship. Isn't that the Longyuan sect? Why is he missing an arm? Many cultivators who were watching the show looked at each other in dismay. The Longyuan sect was a famous expert. He was an ancestor-level expert. He was one of the top 5 experts under the 9th evil dragon. Now that he was actually missing an arm, many people were incomparably shocked and astonished. Lin Feng came out of the cabin and looked at Long Yuan Zong indifferently. Long Yuan Zong, last time, I cut off one of your arms. You didn't rest and recuperate. Surprisingly, you came out so quickly. I hadn't thought you would be in such a hurry to die. Since that's the case, I'll send you to the Western Paradise. What? The brat chopped off the Long Yuan sect's arm? Heavens! How is that possible? The Long Yuan sect is an ancestor-level expert. Many people cried out in disbelief. No one found it strange that the Long Yuan sect had chopped off Long Yuan sect's arm, but Lin Feng's arm. When everybody saw Long Yuan Zong's gloomy face, they knew that Lin Feng wasn't lying. There was no need to. Long Yuan Zong looked at Lin Feng with hatred and said coldly, "Little boy, if I hadn't been plotted against by you, would I have lost an arm? Today, I'll tear you to pieces." As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his right hand. More than a dozen ancient warships quickly separated, blocking all escape routes. Seeing that a great battle was about to break out, Lin Feng returned to the cabin. "Fire!" The Long Yuan sect roared. Boom! 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 The ancient warships of the evil Dragon Palace have launched an attack. That ancient ship won't be destroyed in an instant, right? Many people cried out in alarm. Clearly, the cultivators who were watching the show believed that Lin Feng was doomed. How could an ancient ship resist the enemy's fleet? Fire! In the control room of the ancient ship, Xianyuan, shouted Lin Feng at the same time, giving the order to open fire. Boom! Boom! Under the control of the human-shaped puppet, the ancient ship also began to fire. Countless cannonballs flew out. Many cannonballs collided with the spirit stone cannonballs fired by the ancient warships of the evil Dragon Palace. They directly exploded. Many cannonballs also flew towards the ancient warships of the evil Dragon Palace. At the same time, the spirit stone cannonballs fired by the ancient warships of the evil Dragon Palace also rapidly flew towards the ancient ship. Boom! 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 The spirit stone cannonballs exploded after hitting the restrictions protecting the ship. The ancient ship's restrictions were abnormally powerful. Therefore, even when the spirit stone cannonballs bombarded the ancient ship's restrictions, they couldn't destroy them. Moreover, the spirit stone cannonballs of the ancient ship were reinforced by Emperor runes. They had a long range and great power. The spirit stone cannonballs bombarded the restrictions of the ancient warships of the evil Dragon Palace. Crack! Crack! The restrictions of the ancient warships couldn't withstand the bombardment of the spirit stone cannonballs. Many of the restrictions began to shatter. When the second wave of spirit stone cannonballs arrived, the restrictions on the ancient warships of the evil Dragon Palace began to crumble. When the third wave of spirit stone cannonballs arrived, crack! 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 In an instant, the ancient warships were heavily damaged. The severely damaged ancient warships began to disintegrate. Run! The cultivators on the ancient warships screamed in terror. They wanted to abandon their ships and flee. However, before they could escape, the spirit stone cannonballs bombarded them once again. Boom! 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 The spirit stone cannonballs exploded. Many cultivators were directly blasted to death. The ancient warships were sunk one after another. Heavens! That ancient ship is so terrifying? It didn't suffer any damage in the face of the attacks of the warships. It even destroyed so many of the evil Dragon Palace's warships. The cultivators on Myriad Star Island who were watching the show shouted in disbelief. The defensive and offensive power of the Xianyuan ancient Starry Sky ship was simply too terrifying. Soon, only 4 of the dozen ancient warships of the evil Dragon Palace were left. Moreover, all 4 of them were heavily damaged. Go! Master Long Yuan roared furiously. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. These ancient warships were incomparably precious. Now that so many of them had been destroyed, the losses were huge. Moreover, so many experts had died. He didn't know how to explain this to the 9th evil dragon when he returned. We can't escape. After them, Lin Feng sneered. The godly realm clone in the control room controlled the ancient warship Xianyuan to give chase. Boom! 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 Countless spirit stone cannonballs bombarded the 4 ancient warships that were fleeing. Crack! Crack! Another ancient warship was directly destroyed. Suddenly, one of the ancient warships charged toward Lin Feng. It wanted to sink Lin Feng's ancient warship Xianyuan. You overestimate yourself! Lin Feng sneered and activated the Emperor's runes on the ancient warship Xianyuan. The Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship suddenly accelerated and rammed into the incoming ancient ship of war. Crack! Crack! The huge ancient warship was directly smashed into pieces. Countless people died tragically. The ancient warship Xianyuan didn't stop. It quickly chased after the last 2 ancient warships. Chapter 1967. One of the last 2 ancient warships was the main ship, and the Longyuan sect was personally overseeing it. The other ship was the captain of Zhang Shuxuan's ship. Zhang Shuxian was none other than the whale gang's leader. The experts of the Evil Dragon Palace had been invited by Zhang Shuxian. They had come here full of confidence, but who would have thought that things would turn out like this? Seeing the Xianyuan ancient warship chasing after them, the Longyuan sect shouted, "Split up!" Zhang Shuxian immediately ordered the warship to change course. The ancient warship he was on charged to the right. The Longyuan sect's ancient warship also charged to the left. At this moment, the Xianyuan ancient warship locked onto the warship Zhang Shuxian was on. Asterisk boom boom boom. Asterisk a dense barrage of spirit stone shells flew out, directly bombarding the ancient warship where Zhang Shuxian is on. The seals on the ancient ship of war began to crack. The next round of cannonballs flew over. The restrictions on the warship were instantly destroyed. Some cultivators managed to escape. However, several rounds of spirit stone cannonballs flew over. All the cultivators who managed to escape, including Zhang Shuxian, were killed by the spirit stone cannonballs. Then, the Xianyuan ancient warship turned around and chased after the main ship. Heavens! Don't tell me they're planning to wipe out the Evil Dragon Palace's fleet? Some cultivators shouted in shock. They might be wiped out. Let's go! Let's go and take a look! Many cultivators soared into the sky and chased after the warship. However, the 2 ancient warships were very fast, and the cultivators were left behind. Eventually, they lost sight of the 2 ancient warships. The Xianyuan ancient warship chased for a day and a night. Finally, it caught up to the Longyuan sect's main ship. Lin Feng sneered. Longyuan sect, did you think that you would die at my hands today? Brat! It's too early to boast. It's not certain who will emerge victorious. Moreover, you'll soon know that no one in the world can save you after offending my Evil Dragon Palace. The Longyuan sect's resentful voice rang out. Is that so? Let me send you to hell first. Lin Feng sneered. Boom boom boom. The ancient starship Xuanyuan's spirit stone cannon continued to fire spirit stone cannons. All the spiritual stone cannonballs were aimed at the main ship of the Longyuan sect. Bang bang bang. Countless energy stone cannonballs bombarded the defensive barrier outside the main ship. Crack! Crack! In an instant, the defensive restrictions on the main ship also began to shatter. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's spirit suddenly shook. Lin Feng, you brat, I want you dead! The Longyuan sect roared with resentment. In the next moment, his tone suddenly changed. He became extremely devout. O noble Lord Evil Dragon, please send down your power and eliminate this lowly being who dares to challenge the Evil Dragon Palace. As the voice of the Longyuan sect fell, immediately after, a loud dragon roar was heard. A small golden dragon flew out of the void. That little golden dragon was not a real dragon, but a magical clone made of some unknown material. The little golden dragon avatar rapidly grew in size. It did not take long for it to become a 1,000-meter-long dragon. That huge dragon actually let out a low and deep voice. Lowly ant. You dare to challenge the dignity of my Evil Dragon Palace? Only death awaits you. As the voice faded away, a voice rang out. The huge golden dragon stretched out its huge claw and grabbed at the ancient starship Xianyuan. Evil dragon golden body. Lin Feng's expression sank. The evil dragon golden body was similar to an avatar, but it was not an avatar. The evil dragon golden body was an avatar made of precious materials that was similar to a magic treasure. However, through summoning, the ninth evil dragon could sense the calling. He could send down a portion of his power from a great distance. This portion of his power would enter the evil dragon golden body. The evil dragon golden body could display a portion of the ninth evil dragon's power. Just like now. Boom, 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 a dense barrage of spirit stone cannons flew toward the golden body of the evil dragon. The evil dragon golden body's huge tail swept through the void. The surrounding void began to distort. The distorted space produced a powerful rebounding force. The spiritual stone cannonballs bounced back one after another. Bang, bang, bang. Next, the spiritual stone cannonballs bombarded the ancient starship Xianyuan. Although they could not destroy the ancient starship Xuanyuan's restriction, the ancient starship Xianyuan was still blown away by the explosion of the spiritual stone cannonballs. At the same time, the evil dragon golden body's huge dragon claw slammed into the defensive restriction outside the ancient starship Xianyuan. The ancient starship Xianyuan trembled violently. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. He activated his Emperor runes. A total of 9 Emperor runes appeared. These 9 Emperor runes enveloped the ancient starship Xianyuan. Activating 9 Emperor runes at once was Lin Feng's limit. After activating the 9 Emperor runes, the ancient starship Xuanyuan's speed reached the limit and slammed into the evil dragon golden body. Bang! The ancient starship Xianyuan collided with the evil dragon golden body. The evil dragon golden body's huge body was sent flying. Lowly creature, you've angered me. The evil dragon golden body roared furiously. Next, the evil dragon golden body's huge body began to spiral. Mysterious and ancient voices rang out one after another. It was an incantation. Divine ability incantation. Not good, it's a draconic divine ability. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. The draconic divine ability was the most powerful technique the dragon clan possessed. Any draconic divine ability could be said to be capable of destroying heaven and earth. Seeing that the evil dragon golden body was about to cast a draconic divine ability, Lin Feng did not dare to hesitate. He hurriedly controlled the ancient starship Xianyuan to crash into the evil dragon golden body again. However, it was too late. The evil dragon golden body's draconic divine ability had already formed. A starry river world appeared in the sky. The starry river world was filled with stars. Suddenly, stars began to fall one after another. They smashed towards the ancient starship Xianyuan. Let's go, this kind of dragon incantation is very terrifying. Don't wait for those stars to fall down. Once all of them fall down, it'll be very difficult to escape. Also, this golden body of the evil dragon definitely has a lot of terrifying methods. We can't fight to the death with it. The demon lord's voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng's body shook. He did not dare to hesitate. He hurriedly controlled the ancient starship Xianyuan to rush into the distance. The ancient starship Xianyuan jumped through the starry river and rushed out dozens of li in an instant. It rushed out of the range of the evil dragon golden body's draconic divine ability, and then rushed into the distance. The evil dragon golden body roared and chased after the ancient starship Xianyuan. However, it was unable to catch up to the ancient starship Xianyuan. The evil dragon golden body returned to the main starship after failing to catch up. It then landed in the hands of the Dragon Origin sect. Author's note: I'm not feeling well. Chapter 1968. The ancient desolate sea was located in between the returning ruined sea and the South Pole ice field. Due to the fact that it was a dangerous place where the sea beasts gathered, it was considered an ungoverned land. Although there were many forces here, most of them were established by rogue cultivators. They were unable to reach the scale of the evil dragon palace or the Fusang Island. Hence, it was easier to establish a force here. Ancient Desolate Sea. Dragon Gate Island. Lin Feng spent a huge sum of money to invite the Herculean sea devils to help him build the palace. The Herculean sea devils moved huge mountains and flattened them before building the palace. In a month's time, the Dragon Gate Island was filled with immortal mountains and palaces. The Dragon Gate Island was originally an uninhabited island. Lin Feng named it. After the Herculean sea devils finished building the palace, Lin Feng began to lay out a grand formation to protect the entire Dragon Gate Island. Dragon Gate. It had the meaning of a carp leaping over the Dragon Gate. When he was in the Azure Dragon Institute, Lin Feng had established a force called the Dragon Gate. Many students joined back then, and the Dragon Gate became one of the strongest student organizations in the Azure Dragon Institute. Many years had passed since then. Lin Feng once again used the name Dragon Gate. Lin Feng was looking forward to this new force as well as reminiscing about the past. The Dragon Gate was officially established, but there weren't many people. There were about 1,100 cultivators. Other than Lin Feng, Butterfly and Wanyan Yang had the highest cultivation. There were about 100 quasi-heavenly gods. There were about 1,000 true God realm cultivators. Although there weren't many of them, it was still a powerful force. News of the Dragon Gate's establishment spread throughout the ancient Desolate Sea. It was impossible for no new force to be completely unknown. 400 to 500 cultivators arrived at the Dragon Gate Island. They were arrogant and wanted to barge into the Dragon Gate Island. However, they were stopped by the restrictions and started cursing outside. The overseas world was an incomparably cruel world. Wars between different forces often occurred. It was either you die or I live. This was one of the main reasons why the slave market in the overseas world was so prosperous. Because of the war between the different forces, many of the defeated side were captured and enslaved. Many of the forces that fought against each other didn't have any grudges against each other. It was purely for the sake of benefits. This law of survival was like the big fish in the ocean eating the small fish, and the small fish eating the shrimps. The bigger forces would annex the smaller forces to gain enough wealth and improve their own cultivation. This law of survival had long become an inherent pattern in the overseas world. Therefore, it was very normal for different forces to kill each other in the overseas world. The cultivators who came to Dragon Gate Island came from a place called Fire Scorpion Island. The island master of Fire Scorpion Island, Crimson Fire Scorpion, was a fire scorpion that had cultivated his Tao. The Flame Scorpion gathered a group of people and established the Flame Scorpion Island. Fire Scorpion Island had gradually developed and expanded, and its current strength was no longer what it had been in the past. Some time ago, when Lin Feng invited the Herculean sea demons to construct the Immortal Mountain Palace, Fire Scorpion Island had already learned of this matter. However, Fire Scorpion Island had never taken action. Later, he found out that the Dragon Gate only had a little more than 1,000 people, and there were many old, weak, women, and children among them. He had evil intentions and sent people to investigate. If they found out that the Dragon Gate wasn't strong, they would naturally be in danger of being exterminated. Get out of Dragon Gate Island! Otherwise, kill without mercy! Wanyan Yang led a group of people out and shouted coldly. Lin Feng had established a Dragon Gate army, and Wanyan Yang was now the commander. A group of slaves! How dare you be so impudent! A triangular-eyed cultivator sneered. Slaves had a slave mark on their necks that couldn't be removed. It was because of the slave mark that these people from Fire Scorpion Island could tell that Wanyan Yang and the rest were slaves with a single glance. Wanyan Yang and the rest might be slaves, but ever since they followed Lin Feng, they realized that Lin Feng had never treated them as slaves. This made Wanyan Yang and the rest feel that they had already lost their dignity. They believed that as long as they were loyal and devoted, they would soon be free of their slave status. Now that they heard the people from Fire Scorpion Island mocking them as slaves, many of their faces turned gloomy. Wanyan Yang coldly swept his gaze over the cultivators from Fire Scorpion Island. He had already received Lin Feng's order to kill all the cultivators who had come with evil intentions. He didn't need to show mercy and kill all of them. The Dragon Gate had just been established, and it was time for them to establish their prestige. If they were bullied at this time and swallowed their anger, in that case, all the forces would think that the Dragon Gate was a force that could be bullied easily. By then, how would the Dragon Gate survive? Moreover, Lin Feng wasn't someone who would not retaliate after being bullied. Attack! Wan Yang waved his hand. Kill! The people from the Dragon Gate army took out all kinds of weapons and charged towards the group of experts from Fire Scorpion Island. The cultivators from the Dragon Gate army were now well equipped. As the commander, Wan Yan had received a Heaven God's sixth set. And Lin Feng had also rewarded him with a giant divine weapon-level God's slaying axe. The rest of the cultivators from the Dragon Gate army had received 3 Heaven God weapons as rewards. As these people were Lin Feng's first batch of subordinates, their equipment was naturally the best. Such elite equipment. In addition, Wan Yan had led more than 200 people this time. Although the other party had 400 to 500 people, they were no match for the cultivators from the Dragon Gate army. Wan Yang, a Heaven God realm expert, didn't even make a move. The cultivators from Fire Scorpion Island were defeated. In the end, only a few dozen of them managed to escape. The rest were killed and the corpses were thrown into the sea outside Dragon Gate Island by Wan Yang and the rest to feed the tiger sharks. During this period of time, countless people had their eyes on the Dragon Gate Island. Therefore, many forces had set up secret sentries around Dragon Gate Island. Therefore, the news of this battle spread very quickly. The cultivators from Fire Scorpion Island were powerful, but they suffered heavy losses. This incident caused quite a stir. After the remaining cultivators from Fire Scorpion Island returned to Fire Scorpion Island, they reported the whole story to Qi Lian Fire Scorpion. Qi Lian Fire Scorpion was a skinny man in a black robe. His eyes flickered with a sinister gaze from time to time. Ordinary cultivators from the Dragon Gate are equipped with at least 3 divine weapons? This Dragon Gate is actually so rich? Qi Lian Fire Scorpion's eyes instantly revealed a deep look of greed. Yes, Island Lord. If the other party wasn't well equipped, how could we have suffered such a crushing defeat? A group of cultivators from Fire Scorpion Island said unwillingly. They didn't think that they were any weaker than the cultivators from the Dragon Gate. The only difference was the difference in equipment. Gather the warships. I will personally go and sink Dragon Gate Island. Capture their island lord and force him to hand over all his wealth. Qi Lian Fire Scorpion let out a sinister laugh. Yes, island lord. I will pass down the order now. Chapter 1969. The news of the Dragon Gate Island's cultivators defeating the Fire Scorpion Island's cultivators spread like wildfire. However, the Dragon Gate Island was very peaceful. The Dragon Gate Island's cultivators had a huge amount of cultivation resources to cultivate. Therefore, these cultivators usually seize the time to cultivate and raise their cultivation as much as possible. The afternoon sun was very warm. The 4 sacred birds were taking a leisurely stroll, while Bibi and the dragon rabbit were running around happily. Lin Feng saw a few beautiful figures in the distance. Naza, Enya, and the others were gathered together and chatting. He didn't know what they were talking about, but laughter could be heard from time to time. Enya and the others had become more cheerful. Clearly, after becoming Lin Feng's maidservants, the 5 of them had become happier. Master! Someone is requesting an audience! A guard quickly flew over and reported. Who is it? Lin Feng asked. It's said to be someone from the Celestial Sacred Palace, the guard said. Lin Feng had never heard of the Celestial Sacred Palace before. He guessed that it was a faction in the ancient Desolate Sea region. Bring them to the guest hall, Lin Feng said. Yes. The guard nodded and left. Lin Feng paused for a moment before getting up and heading to the guest hall. When he arrived at the guest hall, he saw a beautiful woman sitting there. Behind the beautiful woman, there were 2 younger and more beautiful women. I've kept you waiting, fellow Taoist. I'm Lin Feng, the Dragon Gate sect leader. How should I address you? Lin Feng said with a smile. The beautiful woman stood up and bowed slightly. I'm the Celestial Sacred Palace's Grand Elder, Mu Ruoqing. These two are my disciples, Lu Wuxin and Chu Linghan. Greetings, sect leader! Lu Wuxin and Chu Linghan greeted Lin Feng. Fairies, there's no need to be so polite. Lin Feng smiled. After everyone was seated, Lin Feng said with a smile, the Celestial Sacred Palace is one of the 32 major factions in the ancient Desolate Sea Region Alliance. It's located in the southwest of the Dragon Gate Island. It's about half a month's journey. Some time ago, I heard that Longmen Island was established, so I came here to congratulate you. Lin Feng replied with a smile. Many thanks for Dao friend Mu's good intentions. The Dragon Gate Island is a rising force. So, we'll have to rely on dear friend Mu in the future. Mu Ruoqing said. I don't dare to rely on you. We can communicate more in the future. After chatting for more than 2 hours, Lin Feng gained a detailed understanding of the power structure of the ancient Desolate Sea region from Mu Ruoqing. He then arranged for Mu Ruoqing and her 2 disciples to rest. Master! This person was also called Lin Feng. Could he be the same person as that Lin Feng who was the talk of the town a while ago? Lu Wuxin said. If it had been won by someone else, their fate would have been very tragic. That night, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. A storm was about to arrive. The weather at sea was unpredictable. Therefore, this kind of weather did not make people feel that there was anything strange about it. After a night, Lin Feng's cultivation had completed a breakthrough, directly breaking through from the 7th level of the Divine Fire Realm to the 10th level of the Divine Fire Realm. In the end, he stopped at the mid-stage of the 10th level of the Divine Fire Realm. One had to know that with Lin Feng's accumulation, it was very difficult to break through. Therefore, this time, he broke through 3 levels in a row. This made Lin Feng surprised and happy. These 3 physiques are indeed extraordinary. The 3 superb human cauldrons of the cultivation world. The effect of increasing one's cultivation is really astonishing. My accumulation is too strong, so breaking through is difficult, but I still broke through 3 levels. If it were someone else, they would have easily broken through to the true God realm and soared into the sky, right? Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. At the same time, 50 huge ancient warships were heading towards the Dragon Gate Island at high speed. How much longer until we reach the Dragon Gate Island? Crimson Fire Scorpion asked. Island Lord! We only need 3 days to reach the Dragon Gate Island. An elder from the Fire Scorpion Island replied. Crimson Fire Scorpion nodded. After breaking through, Lin Feng was in a good mood. The sun was already high up in the sky. Lin Feng went to the training ground. Butterfly was in charge of training assassins here. Lin Feng named Butterfly's assassin organization Purgatory. Lin Feng gave the 300 people to die so she could train them. Such an assassin organization was often very useful. Many major factions would nurture their own Deathsworn. Lin Feng's assassin organization would be even stronger than the Deathsworn. Their methods would also be more bizarre. Rise! Lin Feng waved his hand. After leaving the training ground, Wan Yang came to visit Lin Feng. Master! We discovered a deep-sea devil cave in the sea not far away. Chapter 1970. Deep-sea devil cave? Lin Feng looked at Wan Yang in astonishment. Deep-sea devil caves were very common in the sea. Deep-sea devil caves usually referred to strange caves in the deep sea. These caves were very dangerous, and cultivators who entered them would often face life-threatening danger. Wan Yang said. A few of us entered the deep-sea devil cave, but none of us came out alive. Bring me there to take a look, Lin Feng said. Master, please come with me, Wan Yang said as he led the way. Lin Feng brought a dozen guards with him. The group quickly left. The deep-sea devil cave was about 300 li away from the Dragon Gate Island. In an hour, Lin Feng, Wan Yang, and the others arrived at the location of the deep-sea devil cave. Wan Yang said, "Master, the deep-sea devil cave is in the deepest abyss of this sea." Lin Feng nodded, and the group dived into the deep sea. Before long, they arrived at the bottom of the abyss. This abyss was at least 10,000 meters deep in the sea. The surrounding seawater was filled with a gloomy aura. This gloomy aura made people shiver. It didn't take long for Lin Feng and the others to arrive at the huge cave. "Wait here. I'll go take a look," Lin Feng said. "Master, it's too dangerous. We'll go in with you," Wan Yang said. Lin Feng said, "Don't worry. I'll be able to escape if I encounter any danger alone." Wan Yang and the others didn't dare to disobey Lin Feng, so they could only wait outside. Lin Feng stepped into the cave. The cave's aura was very gloomy, and the deeper they went, the colder the aura became. There are runes on the walls?" Lin Feng looked at the walls in surprise. He hadn't noticed them before. He took a quick glance. He discovered something extraordinary. The walls were densely packed with runes. They were a mysterious formation. These formation runes were extremely ancient. Lin Feng examined many of them. He realized that he had never seen such an array pattern before. "This deep-sea devil cave isn't naturally formed?" Lin Feng muttered to himself. He was much more careful now. He continued to walk inside. Dong dong dong, suddenly. Lin Feng heard some voices coming from the depths of the forest. When he heard that strange sound, he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. This feeling made Lin Feng frown. This deep-sea devil cave really wasn't simple. It could even be called strange. He endured the stinging pain and continued to walk inside. Dong dong dong, dong dong dong, that strange sound was getting clearer and clearer. The pain in Lin Feng's heart became more and more intense. He even thought that his heart was about to split open. It was a terrible feeling. "What's inside?" Lin Feng frowned. He was unwilling to leave just like that. Enduring the pain in his heart, he continued to walk forward. Suddenly, Lin Feng vaguely saw something. In the deepest part of the cave, clouds of black gas were spreading out. Swish! Swish! Immediately after, two cold eyes opened. At that moment, Lin Feng felt that his soul was about to split open. That mysterious existence. He didn't know what kind of creature it was. It was unimaginably terrifying. Lin Feng didn't dare to hesitate. He turned around and rushed outside. Hoo! Suddenly, a strong devouring force surged over. That strong devouring force wanted to suck Lin Feng into the black hole. Fortunately, Lin Feng was about to rush out of the cave. When the powerful devouring power surged over, he rushed out ahead of time. "Let's go!" Lin Feng shouted and left quickly with Wan Yang and the rest. Finally, they were floating outside the abyss. Lin Feng looked at the deep-sea devil cave from afar. His expression was very serious. Wan Yang asked, "Master, did you see something?" Lin Feng said, "There seems to be some terrifying creature trapped inside. Inform everyone not to come to this place again." "Yes, Master. When we return, I will pass down the order," Wan Yang replied. "And?" Lin Feng nodded. The group didn't stay for long and quickly left. On the way back, Lin Feng exchanged some ideas with the Demon Lord. He asked the Demon Lord what could be in that cave. The Demon Lord said, "It is sealed in the deep-sea devil cave." Mysterious and ancient restrictions covered the entire deep-sea devil cave. After so many years, it still hasn't died. It is hard to imagine what kind of existence it is. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Such a strange deep-sea devil cave appearing not far from Dragon Gate Island was not a good thing. If the creature inside escaped, it would be a huge problem. The only thing he could rejoice about was that the seal seemed to be quite strong. That creature shouldn't be able to escape for the time being. After returning to Dragon Gate Island, Lin Feng saw the 5 women. The 5 women gave off an especially attractive feeling of maturity. After seeing Lin Feng, the 5 women bowed and greeted Lin Feng. However, their faces were all red. Lin Feng nodded. At night, he removed the 5 women's slave status. The 5 women were free. Each of them cried tears of joy. Now you are free. You can continue to stay on Dragon Gate Island or leave. I will not stop any of you, Lin Feng said. We are willing to follow young master and serve young master every day. The 5 women hurriedly said. The land of women, the grave of heroes. Lin Feng fully experienced the meaning of this sentence. Surrounded by beauties, he had sex with them. He was very happy. The past 2 days had been extremely absurd. 300 li away, the fleet of Fire Scorpion Island sailed over. Crimson Fire Scorpion asked, How long until we reach Dragon Gate Island? Reporting to Island Lord. We will reach within 2 hours. An elder replied. Great. Pass down the order. All the warships are to prepare for battle. Crimson Fire Scorpion said with a smile. Yes. The elder hurriedly went to pass down the order. Look, the fleet of Fire Scorpion Island is here. Heavens, there are actually 50 ancient war ships. What a huge investment. Could it be that Crimson Fire Scorpion is here personally? Many people exclaimed. Woo woo woo, the sound of the bugle horn resounded through the clouds. The cultivators on Dragon Gate Island were already alarmed. Seeing so many fleets arriving, the cultivators on Dragon Gate Island were very calm. Back then, Lin Feng's ancient ship destroyed a fleet of the evil Dragon Palace. Everyone prostrated themselves in admiration of this young master, Lin Feng. In everyone's opinion, as long as Lin Feng was here, anyone who came to invade Dragon Gate Island would definitely suffer heavy losses. Fire! After the fleet of Fire Scorpion Island was about 10 li away from Dragon Gate Island, Crimson Fire Scorpion gave the order to fire. Boom boom boom. A dense barrage of spirit stone cannonballs shot toward the Dragon Gate Island. Chapter 1971. They've launched an attack. Will the Dragon Gate Island be destroyed? Many of the spies in the surroundings exclaimed. The Fire Scorpion Island had sent a total of 50 battleships. Such a force. It was enough to destroy any island. 1. At this moment, the Dragon Gate Island's restriction was activated. The powerful restriction protected the Dragon Gate Island. Bang! 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 When the densely packed spiritual stone shells fell, they were all blocked by the Dragon Gate Island's restriction. Lin Feng had mastered the Emperor runes. Therefore, the restriction he had set up was much stronger than before. If the battleships wanted to destroy the Dragon Gate Island's restriction with their spiritual stone shells, they would need at least 3 days and 3 nights. It was impossible to destroy the Dragon Gate Island's restriction in a short period of time. Many people were shocked to see that the Dragon Gate Island's restriction remained intact under the bombardment of so many spiritual stone shells. There's a formation Grandmaster in the Dragon Gate Island, someone said. So what if he's a formation Grandmaster? The Fire Scorpion Island has sent out 50 battleships. They'll destroy the restriction sooner or later. When that happens, the Dragon Gate Island will be destroyed, another person said with a sneer. Obviously, he wasn't optimistic about the Dragon Gate Island's future. The others nodded and agreed with this view. Unless the Dragon Gate Island could organize a counterattack, otherwise, they were destined to be annihilated in such a war. Rumble! At this moment, a loud sound was heard. Everyone saw an ancient ship flying out of the Dragon Gate Island. The ancient ship sailed directly toward the Fire Scorpion Island's fleet. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this. An ancient ship was charging toward the Fire Scorpion Island's fleet? Was this a death wish? This is crazy, I've never seen such a death wish. Many people were discussing. In their opinion, this was no different from a death wish. You're courting death. Assault battleships. Destroy that ancient ship for me. Qi Lianhuoxia stood on the main ship and sneered. After receiving the order, 2 assault battleships rushed toward the Xianyuan ancient ship at lightning speed. Then, The two assault battleships sandwiched the Xianyuan ancient ship in the middle. Fire! Fire! The captains of the two assault ships gave the order at the same time. Fire! Inside the ancient ship, Wan Yang also gave the order to fire. Boom, boom, boom! It was accompanied by an earth-shattering sound. A dense barrage of spirit stone shells flew out. The spirit stone cannon of the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship was a combination of 3 barrels. It could fire 3 cannonballs at a time. Furthermore, he had the support of Emperor runes. It was not something an ordinary warship could contend against. Bang, bang, bang. However, the restrictions of the 10 warships besieging the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship were destroyed one after another. Next, the spirit stone cannons landed on the 10 warships. Kacha kacha! The 10 warships began to disintegrate. The warships are about to sink. Hurry up and run! Many people cried out in horror. They wanted to run for their lives. However, they couldn't escape. The barrage of spirit stone cannons landed on the warships. The warships exploded, and countless limbs were severed. The 10 warships were all sunk. The cultivators of Fire Scorpion Island on the 10 warships were all killed. Heavens, this is too terrifying! The eyes of the spies nearly popped out. The cultivators of Dragon Gate Island were also jubilant and excited. A single ancient starry sky ship against a fleet. This was simply too shocking. Moreover, it was too exciting. Many people felt their blood boil as they watched. Damn it! How is this possible? Scarlet Fire Scorpion's expression was gloomy as he roared. Charge! Wan Yang gave the order. The Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship charged towards the fleet of Fire Scorpion Island. Attack together. I don't believe we can't destroy this ancient starry sky ship! Scarlet Fire Scorpion roared furiously. Currently, the fleet of Fire Scorpion Island still had 38 warships left. Boom, boom, boom! The spirit stone cannons on the 38 warships were all ignited. The overwhelming number of spirit stone cannons bombarded the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. However, all the spirit stone cannons were blocked by the restrictions of the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. The Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship directly charged into the fleet. It rammed into the warships one after another. Bang, 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 kacha kacha. The warships were dismembered by the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. Chapter 1972. The powerful combat strength of the ancient ship had shocked everyone. It was a one-sided battle. The ancient ship had single-handedly destroyed a fleet. The fleet did not even have the strength to fight back. No one dared to believe that this was real. Bang, 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 kacha kacha, sounds of collisions and warships being dismembered could be heard one after another. The ancient ship, Xianyuan, destroyed one warship after another in the most violent way. Island Lord! Our losses are too heavy. We have to retreat quickly. Or else all the warships might be destroyed. An elder from Fire Scorpion Island hurriedly reported. Qilian Fire Scorpion's face was extremely ugly. He could not believe what he was seeing. However, what was happening before him was real. The huge fleet he had built was about to be destroyed. Retreat! Qilian Fire Scorpion roared in exasperation. Woo woo woo! The sound of the bugle horn resounded through the sky. The warships fled into the distance. They are retreating! Many of the spies were moved. Such a huge fleet was actually defeated by an ancient ship from the Dragon Gate Island. Everyone was shocked. Qilian Fire Scorpion was considered a tyrant in the ancient desolate sea region. When had he ever suffered such a huge loss? However, he did not expect that he would suffer such a huge loss. However, all of this, it was irreversible. The ancient ship, Xianyuan, chased after them and destroyed another 7 to 8 warships before returning. In the end, only 23 of the 50 warships from Fire Scorpion Island managed to escape. The remaining warships were all destroyed. The result of this battle quickly spread throughout the ancient desolate sea region. many of the upper echelons of the major forces were shocked when they heard the news. Originally, these major forces thought that Dragon Gate Island would be destroyed by Fire Scorpion Island. However, they did not expect such an outcome. Now that Fire Scorpion Island had suffered such a huge loss, they had to recuperate for the time being. As for Dragon Gate Island, it became lively. Many overseas itinerant cultivators came to seek refuge. There was no lack of experts in the overseas world. However, they lacked a force that could protect these overseas itinerant cultivators. Many overseas itinerant cultivators saw how powerful Dragon Gate Island was. In addition, Dragon Gate Island had just been established. It was time to recruit and strengthen themselves. This was clearly the best time to join the Dragon Gate Island. The treatment of the cultivators who joined earlier was naturally incomparable to that of the cultivators who joined later. Of course, not every cultivator wanted the Dragon Gate Island. If Lin Feng wanted to recruit people, he wanted to recruit real elites. Many factions had tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of people. Although there were many people. But in reality, the elite troops only made up a small portion of the army. Lin Feng's plan was to use all kinds of resources on a small number of truly elite experts. In this way, they would be able to train these elite experts into an elite army that obeyed orders and fought in an orderly manner. Therefore, the Dragon Gate Island's first rule for recruiting cultivators was that they would not accept anyone below the True God realm. This rule was enough to shut out 90% of the cultivators. This was because a True God realm cultivator could be considered an expert in the outer seas. If such a cultivator were to join any force, they would definitely be treated well. Therefore, in the next half a month, the Dragon Gate Island only recruited about 1,000 cultivators. Lin Feng selected 200 top-notch figures from the 1,000 people and allocated them to the Butterfly to join the Butterfly's Purgatory Assassin Organization. The Butterfly's Purgatory Assassin Organization had the best treatment. In addition to being able to obtain 3 Heaven God Divine artifacts every month, they would also receive 200,000 Origin Crystals and 1,000 Demon Transformation Immortal Pills. Therefore, their cultivation progressed very quickly. The remaining people joined the Dragon Gate Army. The Dragon Gate Army's standard was 3 Heaven God weapons. Every month, they would receive 150,000 Origin Crystals and 800 Demon Transformation Immortal Pills. In fact, these cultivators wouldn't be able to use up the 100,000 Origin Crystals every month. As for the Demon Transformation Immortal Pills, which were high-level pills, in the entire 9 states, only Lin Feng knew how to refine them. Therefore, they were extremely precious. The cultivators who joined the Dragon Gate Army also cultivated with the precious Demon Transformation Immortal Pills and not with Origin Crystals. The effect of cultivating with the Demon Transformation Immortal Pills was 10 times better than cultivating with Origin Crystals. Lin Feng also prepared 72 types of great formations for the Dragon Gate Army to cultivate. When a large army fought, they would often have to set up formations because formations could increase the effect of the battle. Therefore, the Dragon Gate Army had to practice great formations so that they could erupt with the most powerful battle strength. On this day, Wan Yin came to pay a visit to Lin Feng. He said, "Master, half a month has already passed and we have only recruited 1,000 cultivators. Isn't the number too little? Do you think we can lower the standard a little? We can lower the standard of recruitment a little. If that's the case, we will definitely be able to form an army very quickly. Right now, our Dragon Gate Army has too few people," Lin Feng said. "What I need is a group of true elites. Therefore, the standard cannot be lowered. Right now, it is difficult to recruit experts because our Dragon Gate has only been established for a short period of time and our reputation has not truly spread. Once the Dragon Gate's reputation is completely spread, there will definitely be an endless stream of experts coming. Yes. Then this subordinate will go and train the army." Wan Yin responded and immediately left. Another half a month passed. In this half a month, the Dragon Gate had only recruited 400 cultivators. It was even less than the number of cultivators they had recruited in the past half a month. Lin Feng could not help but frown slightly. His minimum standard was to form an elite army of around 100,000 people. However, it was obvious that they were still far from Lin Feng's minimum standard. Of course, Lin Feng also knew that this matter could not be rushed. He needed to wait for an opportunity. On this day, flames were rolling in the distant sky. Within the flames stood a tall and sturdy man who looked like a flaming war god. That man flew towards the Dragon Gate Island as fast as lightning. 2 hours later, the man saw the location of the Dragon Gate Island. Ha 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 ha, I have arrived at the Dragon Gate Island. The man descended from the sky and finally landed outside the Dragon Gate Island. Dragon Gate Sect Leader. Where are you? Quickly come out. The man suddenly shouted. Who are you? How dare you be so impudent? A group of island guards flew over and shouted coldly. Get your sect leader to come out and see me. The man's voice was like thunder. Tell me your name. We will naturally report it for you. The island guard captain said. Do small fries like you deserve to know my name? Fine, I will personally go and see him. The man stepped out and walked towards the inner part of the island. Are you deliberately looking for trouble? Let's go together and chase him out. The island guard captain shouted in a deep voice and took the lead to charge towards the man. The remaining 20 or so island guards followed closely behind and charged towards the man. The man curled his lips in disdain and stepped forward. His body emitted a terrifying aura. No one could resist the aura emitted from his body. Everyone felt as if they were carrying an ancient divine mountain on their backs. Their legs went soft. Thump! Thump! In the next moment, all of them knelt on the ground, unable to move. Chapter 1973. This cultivator was really powerful. Just his aura alone was enough to suppress so many people. His cultivation was simply unfathomable. One had to know. The cultivators guarding the Dragon Gate Island were at least at the true god realm. With such powerful strength, it was hard for them to withstand the pressure from this man. From this, just how powerful was this man's cultivation? Soon, he arrived at the depths of the Dragon Gate Island. At this moment, Wan Yang, who had received the news, came out. He looked at the man coldly and said, Who are you? How dare you behave atrociously in my Dragon Gate? The man looked at Wan Yang indifferently and said, Are you the sect leader of the Dragon Gate? The sect leader is my master, Wan Yang said. Ask your master to come and see me, the man said. You barged into my Dragon Gate and humiliated my cultivators. How dare you ask to see my master? If I don't teach you a lesson today, others will think that the Dragon Gate is easy to bully. Wan Yang looked indifferent as he stepped forward, wanting to deal with this man. Wan Yan! You can leave now! Suddenly, an indifferent voice resounded. Lin Feng didn't know when, but he had appeared 10 meters away from the man. The man turned to look at Lin Feng with a slightly more solemn expression. Sun Jian! Lin Feng! Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the two of them leaped up and charged at each other. They threw a punch at each other. They attacked each other. Bang! The two of them collided fiercely. All of a sudden, the earth shook and the mountains shook. Your strength is not bad. You can already fight with me. Come with me. Let's fight in the sea, Lin Feng said aloud as he soared into the sky. Humph! I'd like to see what ability you have to say such words. Sun Jian snorted and soared into the sky, following Lin Feng outside. The cultivators of the Dragon Gate also rushed out and came to the sea to watch the battle. It's the Inferno God of War, Sun Jian! Suddenly, a cultivator exclaimed as he recognized Sun Jian. To Wan Yang and the others, Sun Jian was just a simple name. They didn't know who Sun Jian was. Like Lin Feng, Wan Yang and the others had not been in the ancient Desolate Sea domain for long. He did not know much about the ancient Desolate Sea region. Naturally, the experts in the ancient Desolate Sea region were not particularly clear about it. However, The cultivators they had recently recruited had been living in the ancient desolate sea region. These people had a better understanding of the experts in the ancient desolate sea region. He knew Sun Jian very well. Wan Yanyan asked, "Who is this Sun Jian?" "Sun Jian is a famous itinerant cultivator in the ancient desolate sea region. He has been cultivating for 13,000 years and was originally ranked 5th among the pirates in the ancient desolate sea region. This person's ferocious reputation has spread far and wide." He threw punch after punch at the stonemen watching the sea of clouds that Lin Feng had condensed. Bang, bang, bang. After dozens of punches, the stoneman watching the sea of clouds that Lin Feng had condensed was also shaken. It was a half-immortal technique. Sun Jian's strength was indeed terrifying to be able to shake the stoneman watching the sea of clouds. However, at this moment, Lin Feng appeared behind Sun Jian and threw a punch at Sun Jian. Sun Jian was shocked. He turned around and threw a punch at Lin Feng. Bang! The two sides collided again. Heavens, that's... Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Sun Jian's body was rapidly aging. Great reincarnation technique! Sun Jian couldn't help but roar. He could feel that his strength was rapidly weakening. He also saw his own aging body. He wanted to quickly get rid of Lin Feng, but it was too late. Lin Feng's stonemen watching the sea of clouds descended from the sky. At the same time, Lin Feng used the 8 forbidden seals. Divine runes wrapped around Sun Jian one after another. Sun Jian's battle strength had decreased sharply because he had been hit by the Eternity technique. Now, he was powerless against the stonemen watching the sea of clouds and the 8 forbidden seals. In the end, Lin Feng used the 8 forbidden seals to seal Sun Jian. Heavens, Sun Jian is a 10th firmament celestial god, but he was suppressed by the sect master in 3 moves. Isn't the sect master too terrifying? What is the sect master's cultivation level? He can't be a giant god, right? Countless people cried out in shock. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Chapter 1974. Sun Jian's expression was uncertain. He was a 10th firmament celestial god, but he was defeated in 3 moves. It was hard for him to accept. "You've lost. It's time for you to fulfill your promise," Lin Feng said calmly. Sun Jian's body gradually regained its youth. However, his expression was extremely ugly. Sun Jian had never thought that he would lose. That was why he agreed readily. However, he had lost miserably in the hands of Lin Feng. Should he agree? Or should he go back on his word? In the end, Sun Jian gritted his teeth and made a decision. He half knelt on the ground, raised his hands, and said, "Please accept my loyalty." Lin Feng reached out and placed his hand on Sun Jian's hand. "I accept your loyalty." The cultivators on the Dragon Gate Island immediately cheered in joy. Firstly, they were amazed by the sect leader's strength. Secondly, they were surprised that the sect leader had subdued an expert like Sun Jian. Sun Jian was a top expert. With Sun Jian joining the Dragon Gate, the strength of the Dragon Gate would increase significantly. The sect leader of the Dragon Gate is actually so powerful. There had been spies from various major forces in the outer area of the Dragon Gate Island. Now that they saw Lin Feng defeating Sun Jian in 3 moves, they were extremely shocked. Soon, the news gradually spread in the ancient desolate sea domain. Some people believed the rumor, but more people did not believe it at all. It was widely rumored that the sect leader of the Dragon Gate was a very young cultivator. Such a cultivator might have amazing talent and strength. However, defeating Sun Jian in 3 moves? Who was he kidding? During this period, the Dragon Gate had been recruiting, but the progress was slow. Therefore, many people thought that the news was spread by the Dragon Gate. Their purpose was self-evident. They wanted to attract more cultivators to join the Dragon Gate. Although many people did not believe it, there were still some who believed the rumor. Therefore, in the following period of time, more cultivators joined the Dragon Gate than before. After Sun Jian joined the Dragon Gate, he soon gave Lin Feng a headache. This guy would challenge Lin Feng whenever he was free. Lin Feng had beaten him up so many times that he could not get up. However, after he recovered, he continued to challenge him. He continued to be beaten up. It was a cycle. In these 3 months, Sun Jian had lost count of how many times he had been beaten up by Lin Feng. Although he had been beaten up, he had gained a lot. This was because Sun Jian had actually broken through from the heavenly god stage to the quasi-giant god stage. That was the realm of those ancestor-level experts. This made Sun Jian very excited. During this period of time, the number of people in the Dragon Gate army continued to increase, reaching around 5,000 people. The number of people in the Butterfly's Purgatory Assassin organization had also reached 1,500. Because these people were all masters, there weren't many of them. However, it was definitely one of the most elite armies in the ancient Desolate Sea region. On this day, more than 10 cultivators flew in from outer space and requested to see Lin Feng. These cultivators were from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance was a loose organization in the ancient Desolate Sea region. One of them was the Round Table Conference. The members of this Round Table Conference were the leaders of various powerful forces. If anything major happened in the ancient Desolate Sea domain, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance would gather the members of the Round Table Conference and head to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance for a meeting. Then, they would discuss and solve the problem. Lin Feng received these people. The leader of the group was an old man called Wu Rin. He had a thin body and a sharp gaze. This old man's cultivation was clearly very powerful. I'm here to inform the sect master that the Round Table Conference will be held a month later. The upper echelons of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance have discussed this matter and believe that Sect Master Lin is qualified to participate in this conference. Therefore, I'm here to inform Sect Master Lin, Wu Rin said. Lin Feng nodded and said, "All right, I'll be there on time. Everyone has traveled a long way and it must have been hard on you. I've already arranged accommodations for everyone. Stay here for a few days and have a good rest," Wu Rin said. "We still have some unfinished business here, so we can't delay any longer. Since the message has been delivered, we won't be staying here any longer. Farewell. Since that's the case, I won't keep you any longer. I wish everyone a safe journey." Lin Feng cupped his fists. Then, he sent Wu Rin and the others out. After that, he gave Wan Yanyan a look. Wan Yanyan understood what he meant. After sending Wu Rin and the others out of the island, he stuffed a storage ring into Wu Rin's hands. "Inside are some small items that our young master has prepared. They aren't anything valuable. Please accept them, Brother Wu," Wan Yanyan said with a smile. Wu Rin smiled and said, "Sect Master Lin, you're too courteous." The two of them chatted for a while before Wu Rin and the others left. Along the way, Wu Rin checked the storage ring and found 5 million origin crystals. He was stunned. "Sir, is there something wrong with the items inside?" The rest of the people noticed that Wu Ren's expression wasn't quite right. They couldn't help but ask curiously. Wu Ren said, "It's rumored that Sect Master Lin's wealth is boundless. It seems like the rumors are true. He casually gave us 5 million origin crystals." "What? 5 million?" The others couldn't help but gasp. 5 million origin crystals. It was a mountain of origin crystals. Wu Ren took out 1,000,000 origin crystals and said, "Take these origin crystals and divide them among yourselves." "Thank you, sir." The group was overjoyed and thanked Wu Ren profusely. After Wu Ren and the others left, Sun Jian said, "Young master, I'm afraid something good is about to happen." "Oh? Something good is about to happen? What good is it?" Lin Feng said in surprise. "Normally, the Knights' Roundtable Conference is only held when something big happens. Nothing big has happened in the ancient Desolate Sea area. Therefore, I guess this Roundtable Conference might be held because some secret treasures or immortal residences have been found and experts need to explore them," Sun Jian said. The overseas world. Lin Feng knew that there were many secret treasures and immortal abodes. If what Sun Jian said was true, then it was indeed something good. "All right. Make some preparations and bring the 3,000 Dragon Gate army to the Independent Cultivator Alliance in advance. First, go to the Independent Cultivator Alliance and make some connections with the upper echelons of the Independent Cultivator Alliance. Then, buy some top-grade ancient war ships. Lin Feng ordered. Yes. I'll make the preparations now. Sun Jian nodded and left. Roundtable conference? This is interesting. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. 10 days later, Lin Feng brought Wan Yanyan to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. That night, a hurricane suddenly blew across the sea. The hurricane wreaked havoc and swept across the land. Huge waves that were tens of thousands of feet high surged. Countless ships in the sea were destroyed by the hurricane. Lin Feng and Wan Yanyan landed on an island. They found a cave to rest. Soon, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Torrential rain poured down. Then, the rain poured down. Boom! A shocking fluctuation came from the sky above the sea. Cultivators were engaged in a great battle. More than 10 cultivators were besieging a woman in a black dress. Chapter 1975. Hand over that treasure. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. A cultivator coldly looked at the female cultivator. First, let's see if you can win against my sword. The female cultivator coldly snorted. The sword in her hand slashed out dense sword chi as she fought against the cultivators. While these people were fighting fiercely. In the sea, people continuously rushed to the island. The cultivators who rushed to the island ignored the female cultivator and the others who were fighting. At this time, with such a majestic storm and raging storm, these people had no interest in watching other people fight to the death. Many people entered the island to take shelter from the rain. Cultivators continuously escaped from the sea to the island. The storm became more and more terrifying. The storm became stronger and stronger. The huge island was even shaking. Many cultivators who rushed to the island from the sea were swept away by the storm before they could reach the island. Their bodies were torn to pieces. The female cultivator was very powerful. She used the waning snow sword technique. The snowflakes in the sky mixed with the rain and swept toward the cultivators who were besieging her. Pooh! 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 Cultivators were directly killed by the female cultivator. The female cultivator hurriedly rushed to the island. More than 20 people entered the cave Lin Feng and Wan Yanyan were in. Not long after, the female cultivator also flew in. Then, she found a hidden place to rest. Lin Feng looked at the hurricane outside and frowned. How come there's such a strong wind and a strong wind? How come there's such a strong wind? It's really strange. At this time, an old man put his palms together and kept praying. A cultivator looked at the old man and asked, "Senior, do you know what's going on? In all these years, I've never seen such a powerful storm. Deep sea monster! The deep sea monster has awakened!" The old man's expression was unsightly. "Deep sea monster? Senior, don't scare us!" Many people's voices trembled. Lin Feng couldn't help but ask, "What's a deep sea monster?" "It's an undead creature that hibernates in the deep sea. It has the power to destroy all life. Anyone who sees a deep sea monster will lose their life. No one can escape the attack of a deep sea monster," the old man said with a trembling voice. "Undead creatures? What does he look like? He's actually this powerful?" Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. "I'm not sure. Those who have seen the deep sea monster are all dead," the old man said. "No way, how could it be a deep sea monster? The deep sea monster is just a legend." Some people were unwilling to believe the old man's words. "It can't be wrong. It couldn't be wrong. Although the deep sea monster hasn't awakened for tens of thousands of years, it must be a deep sea monster. Only when a deep sea monster awakens would such a terrifying storm appear," the old man said. Lin Feng frowned. Seeing the old man speak so seriously, could it be that the so-called sea storm was caused by the awakening of the giant monster in the deep sea? It sounded a little too mysterious. Could such a terrifying storm be caused by a ferocious beast? Lin Feng believed that an emperor realm existence could cause such a storm. However, for a ferocious beast to cause such a terrifying storm, could it be that the deep-sea monster was an Emperor realm existence? Lin Feng asked. If it's really a deep-sea monster, why would it awaken after so many years of hibernation? It's the Tushi ancient coin! Someone must have obtained the Tushi ancient coin, which is why the deep-sea monster awakened, the old man said with a trembling voice. His entire body was trembling non-stop. Clearly, he was quite frightened. What's the Tushi ancient coin? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. The others had clearly never heard of the Tushi ancient coin, so they all looked at the old man. The Tushi ancient coin is an ancient coin created by the Tushi Immortal Kingdom's ruler a long, long time ago. He collected the most precious sage emperor gold and forged it. It's said that a single coin can buy an emperor realm weapon. There are a total of 1,000 of these coins. The old man began to explain the legend he knew. At this point, a cultivator said, A single coin can buy an emperor realm weapon? Who are you trying to fool? Who would believe you? The cultivator was not the only one who did not believe it. Even Lin Feng did not believe it. However, the old man said, You have to believe me. These coins have a very special effect. Special effect? Everyone looked at the old man in confusion. The ruler used an extremely ancient method to forge the coins. It's said that the coins can communicate with the legendary Supreme Celestial Court. There are many secrets hidden in the Supreme Celestial Court. Those who obtain the coins can communicate with the Supreme Celestial Court through the ancient coins, and their cultivation will grow stronger. Most importantly, the person who obtains the coins will be immortal, the old man said. Damn, this is getting more and more ridiculous. Many people rolled their eyes. The old man's words were too shocking. No one dared to believe it. If it was true, it would overturn everyone's understanding. Lin Feng's expression turned solemn. The more he listened, the more he felt the matter was unbelievable. There was no need for the old man to lie. Lin Feng continued to ask. In other words, the ruler of Tushi Immortal Kingdom obtained immortality from then on? The old man nodded. Yes, he obtained immortality. However, because of this, he was envied by countless people. Thus, many experts joined forces to attack Tushi Immortal Kingdom. Although the Tushi Immortal Kingdom is powerful, how could it withstand the siege of so many experts? Chapter 1976. Naturally, the outcome was tragic. The Emperor of the Tushi Immortal Kingdom was surrounded by countless experts. He had no hope of escaping. He was bathed in blood, and his blood dyed the sky red. He saw many people who had been drinking and chatting merrily with him in the past. Now, they were also trying to kill him. Don't blame us. We just wanted the Tushi coins. You shouldn't have forged the Tushi coins. Even if you did, you shouldn't have let others know about it. Cold voices rang out one after another. Many people were forced to come forward. I never thought that I, the Tushi Divine Emperor, would end up like this. Ha ha! The Emperor burst into laughter. Lin Feng and the others were startled. This old man was really good at telling stories. His body language and description were very vivid. It was as if he was really bringing Lin Feng and the others to an ancient era. Lin Feng and the others saw the Tushi Divine Emperor in his twilight years. So what if he had an immortal lifespan? In such a situation, nobody could escape death. The Tushi Divine Emperor took out a dagger. Then, he dug out his own heart. Many people felt their scalps go numb. What's the point of digging out his heart? Asked Lin Feng, puzzled. This method was too terrifying and cruel. The old man continued. The Tushi Divine Emperor wasn't a simple person. He knew many ancient techniques, such as the method to forge the Tushi coins. Of course, he also knew other ancient techniques. He once learned an ancient technique to communicate with the Grim Reaper. It was called the Death Curse. The Death Curse used one's own life as a sacrifice to communicate with the Grim Reaper. Then, it would activate the most evil curse. The Tushi Divine Emperor was in despair, so he dug out his own heart and sacrificed his own life. He used the Death Curse. Anyone who obtained the 2 she coins would die. If they didn't die, they would turn into dead creatures and step onto the cursed boat. They would never be able to leave the boat. The cursed boat? Lin Feng frowned. The word curse was too evil. Therefore, when he heard the word curse, he felt very uncomfortable. Powerful existences like the fire ravens, the coffin carriers, the heavenly masters, and so on. They had all been cursed. And the curses couldn't be resisted. Curses were the most mysterious powers in the world. It was enough to make one's expression change. Did all those people turn into undead creatures later on? Asked someone. The elder said. After the 2 she divine emperor died, countless experts started to fight over the 2 she ancient coins. This battle swept through the various worlds, and countless factions were destroyed and countless people died, said Lin Feng. Could it be that the curse has manifested? Maybe it's because of the curse, or maybe it's because of human greed, but this catastrophe will come to an end one day. After 10,000 years of catastrophe, the 1,002 she ancient coins will have their own owners. Those experts who obtained the 2 she ancient coins thought that they would obtain immortality, but they didn't know that the 2 she ancient coins had been cursed by the 2 she saint emperor. They will indeed gain immortality, but they will board the boat of curse and become dead creatures. They will serve their sentences on the boat of curse forever and suffer endless torture. What's the boat of curse? Someone was confused. It's said to be an extremely mysterious ancient ship. It's also the most terrifying ancient ship. It has the strongest attack, the strongest defense, and the fastest speed. Since ancient times, the 2 she emperor was invincible. Not a single ancient ship could compete with the 2 she emperor. However, the boat of curse is also the most evil ancient boat. The crew members of the boat of curse are all cursed people. They are neither human nor ghost. They are better off dead than alive. However, they can't die even if they want to. They can only bear the endless pain and continue to live, said the old man. Wan Yanyan asked. It's just a legend, right? It's not a legend, said the old man, his voice trembling. It's said that when the 2 she emperor awakens, the 2 she emperor will appear. What does the 2 she emperor have to do with the 2 she emperor? Someone asked in confusion. The captain of the 2 she emperor. He's the master of the 2 she emperor. Once the 2 she emperor awakens, the 2 she emperor will die. The boat of curse that was originally sleeping in the river of death will ride the wind and break through the waves, rush out of the river of death, and come from the world of the dead to the world of the living, said the old man. What the? Everyone rolled their eyes. What the old man said was too mysterious. Even the most exciting myths were not as exciting as the old man's story. However, the old man looked so serious that it did not seem like he was telling a story. However, when they thought about it, they guessed that the old man must have read it from an ancient book. Everyone was relieved. This should be a story. It just happened that a storm swept across the sea today. The old man connected the story recorded in the ancient book with the scene in front of them. Then, they believed it. The more they thought about it, the more likely it was. Many people treated the old man's story as a story. Someone asked curiously, Senior, you said that the 2 she ancient coin is related to the awakening of the 2 she ancient coin. Is the appearance of the 2 she ancient coin related to the 2 she ancient coin? Said the old man. Of course it's related. I mentioned before that those who obtain the 2 she ancient coin will either die or step on the 2 she ancient coin and become a dead creature on the 2 she ancient coin. Now, the 2 she ancient coin will appear to welcome new members. Everyone was speechless. The old man continued, As for the deep-sea monster, it can sense who obtained the 2 she ancient coin. It can even sense where the person who obtained the 2 she ancient coin is. Therefore, I'm guessing that someone must have obtained the 2 she ancient coin and attracted the killing intent of the 2 she ancient coin. Perhaps, the 2 she ancient coin will appear soon. After saying that, the old man clasped his hands together and prayed again. Lin Feng frowned slightly. The content of this story was simply too shocking. Rumble! Rumble! Suddenly, the ground shook. The entire island shook violently, and the cave began to collapse. Everyone was shocked and quickly rushed out of the cave. Many people rushed out of their hiding places. The island shook violently, and the mountains began to collapse. The island began to crack. On the surface of the sea, the storm was still raging. Screech! Suddenly, a sharp, ear-piercing cry came from the depths of the sea. What's that sound? Many people's expressions changed. The 2-shi ancient coin. It must be the 2-shi ancient coin, shouted the old man in horror. P.S. A friend created a fan group for Old Mantu. Group number 426393872. Old Mantu is in it. Everyone add him. Chapter 1977. Senior, please don't be an alarmist. You're scaring us to death. Many people looked at the old man with pale faces. Deep-sea monsters were legendary existences. Once they appeared, would they still be able to survive? Everyone had a look of deep fear on their faces. Who could stand against a creature like the deep-sea monster? However, the old man did not pay attention to anyone as he continued to pray. The storm on the sea grew stronger and stronger. More and more people escaped from the sea to the island. Lin Feng saw a woman in a black dress and could not help but feel apprehensive. The woman was hugging a sword with both hands. She was leaning against a rock wall with her eyes closed, seemingly asleep. He had noticed this woman before. She had taken shelter from the rain in the cave he was staying in. She's so careless, Lin Feng muttered. The storm raged, and huge waves surged. It was like the end of the world. More and more people escaped from the sea and landed on the island. Everyone stayed on the island and looked toward the sea, praying that the storm would calm down. Fortunately, the most terrifying storm did not sweep toward the island they were on. If it did, the island would be completely destroyed. Perhaps this was a blessing in disguise. At dawn, the storm finally dissipated. Everyone could finally heave a sigh of relief. Looks like my prayers last night were effective, the old man said as he stood up. Everyone secretly rolled their eyes at the old man. Was the storm something that could be resolved by praying? If praying could resolve it, all kinds of disasters would be solved by praying. That way, the disasters would disappear. Lin Feng sat down on a rock to rest. This night of being on tenterhooks was really too tiring. Damn it! To think that I would encounter something like this when I'm out at sea. What bad luck! Brother, be content. It's good enough that you're still alive. Look at how many people died in this storm. The power of nature is unimaginable. Many people lamented. The old man said. What power of nature? It's the appearance of the deep-sea monster that caused such a huge commotion. Senior, since you said that the deep-sea monsters are here to find the person who obtained the 2-shi ancient coins, why didn't they attack our island? The old man said. Maybe it's because the person who had the 2-shi ancient coin was killed by the deep-sea monster in the sea, so we were lucky and avoided the disaster. Another person said with a smile. But Senior, you just said that it was all thanks to your prayers. The old man was refuted to the point that he was speechless. He couldn't help but snort coldly and walk away. Someone in the distance took out a glass bottle. It was a bottle with a space of its own, and it was half filled with seawater. An ancient ship that had shrunk countless times was floating in the sea. The cultivator opened the bottle and took out the ancient ship. Then, the ancient ship rapidly expanded. Everyone can ride it for free. If there is any danger, we can take care of each other, the cultivator who took out the ancient ship said. Then, he boarded the ancient ship. Since the ancient ship was free of charge, the cultivators on the island were naturally overjoyed. Everyone boarded the ship one after another. Lin Feng and Wan Yangyang also boarded the ancient ship. Seeing that Lin Feng was frowning, Wan Yangyang asked, Master, why are you frowning? Lin Feng said, I feel that yesterday's incident is very strange. It doesn't seem as simple as a simple storm on the sea. Wan Yangyang said. Could it be that Master believes the old man's words? Lin Feng said. Nothing in this world is groundless. I don't know if the old man's story is true, but even if it isn't, I feel that yesterday's incident must be related to some unknown and terrifying existence. Amitabha Buddha, good indeed, good indeed. Suddenly, a passing monk looked at Lin Feng and put his palms together. This was a young monk, but there were actually 9 rays of Buddhist light floating behind his head. It was truly extraordinary. This was a senior monk who had achieved the Tao. Many times there would be some proud sons of the heavens who would have unimaginable achievements at such a young age. And such achievements would reach heights that others would never be able to reach in a short period of time. This monk was clearly such a person. Greetings, Master. I am Lin Feng. How should I address you? Lin Feng asked. This little monk is called Ishio, the young monk said. So it's Master Ishio. Nice to meet you. Lin Feng cupped his fists. Ishio said, Benefactor is too polite. When I heard Benefactor mention yesterday's incident, this little monk also felt that it was strange, so I wanted to exchange my opinion with Benefactor. Lin Feng and Ishio discussed some of their opinions. Lin Feng also told Ishio the story he had heard from the old man, and Ishio also told Lin Feng the terrifying matter. When he had flown out of the sea, he had faintly seen something moving at the bottom of the sea. At that time, he had not dared to take a closer look and had quickly rushed to the island. After hearing Ishio's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but gasp. Could it be that something terrifying had really appeared? Ishio said. Fortunately, everything has returned to normal. Lin Feng stroked his chin and said, I think it's time to return to normal. If it wanted to make a move on us, last night was a good opportunity. This was a dark world, a world of dead spirits. There was a long river that swept through the world. In the river there were countless corpses, vengeful spirits, evil spirits, and malicious ghosts. Mournful cries could be heard. Hundreds of ghosts were crying. Those terrifying dead spirits wanted to rush out of the river. But they couldn't. This was the river of death. These dead spirits. They were destined to be trapped in the river forever. They would suffer endless pain. Whoosh! Suddenly, huge waves rose from the river. A pitch-black ancient ship covered in moss rushed out from the depths of the river. The undead creatures that had been sleeping on the ship woke up. We've woken up. How many tens of thousands of years have we been sleeping? We've woken up again. Can we return to the world of the living? Those dead spirits shouted excitedly. Their bodies were rotten and emitted a stench. It was extremely disgusting. Crack! Suddenly, the door on the second floor of the ancient ship was pushed open. A tall undead spirit walked out. The undead spirit held a bottle of wine in his hand. He laughed and said, Little ones, what are you waiting for? Raise the flag! Raise the flag! Raise the flag! Raise the flag! Countless undead creatures roared. The flag of the ancient ship was raised. It was a skeleton flag, like a pirate flag. There were 4 words written on it. Ship of Curse. Ha ha! Set sail! Return to the world of the living! The captain laughed heartily and gulped down the wine. However, the wine that he drank flowed out from his rotten body. Rumble! At the same time, the ship of Curse rode the wind and waves and rushed directly to an unknown place in the river of death. It disappeared into the endless darkness. Chapter 1978. Lin Feng, who was resting, suddenly had a slight change in expression. He had discovered that his great death art had started circulating on its own. What's going on? Lin Feng was puzzled. Demon Lord, my great death art has started circulating on its own. This is the first time something like this has happened. Could something have happened that I don't know about? Lin Feng said with a great expression. Yao Jun said, The great art of death can communicate with the legendary river of death, so once the great art of death is used, it can summon the power of the underworld's river of death. Then, this power of death will condense into a river of death in the real world to fight against the enemy. You've cultivated the great art of death, So you can vaguely sense the river of death in the underworld. Could it be that something happened in the river of death in the underworld? Otherwise, why would the great death art start circulating on its own? Lin Feng smiled bitterly. The netherworld is a place where only the dead go. What could have happened there? The demon lord said. The netherworld is much scarier, more complicated, and more mysterious than you can imagine. That place has unimaginable living beings and countless secrets. Lin Feng nodded, suppressing the uneasiness in his heart. The ancient ship continued sailing. Lin Feng and Monkey Shio were chatting happily. While chatting with Monkey Shio on the deck, Lin Feng saw the black-dressed woman from before. This woman was tall and slender, and her face was also extremely beautiful. However, her small face had always been cold. As if sensing Lin Feng's gaze, she turned around and glared fiercely at Lin Feng. She said threateningly, "What are you looking at? Do you believe that I won't gouge your eyeballs out?" That temper. Lin Feng turned around and smiled bitterly. Monkey Shio said, "Wine is like immortal nectar, while women are like ill-fated relationships in the mortal world. That is why we should accompany ourselves with good wine and stay away from women. If ill-fated relationships continue, the path of cultivation will be very difficult." Pfft! Lin Feng burst out laughing. "Do monks drink wine too? Wine and meat pass through the intestines, but Buddha remains in the heart. With Buddha in the heart, so what if you have wine and meat in your hands?" Lin Feng said with a smile. "It seems that Master's understanding of Buddhism has reached a point where it is beyond the reach of others." Monkey Shio said, "Patron, you flatter me." 3 days later, at noon, the sky had already darkened. Black clouds rolled. Lightning filled the sky. Lin Feng frowned. "Is there going to be another storm?" "It's over! It's over! It must be a deep-sea monster," the old man said, his face pale. At this moment, Lin Feng noticed that the expression of the woman in the black dress had become uncertain. Lin Feng felt that the woman's demeanor was a bit strange. "You're still looking? Didn't I warn you? Do you believe that I won't hack you to death?" The woman pulled out her sword and was about to slash at Lin Feng. "Save me! She's trying to murder her husband!" Lin Feng shouted. "Who told you to spout nonsense? I'll hack you to death!" The woman swung her sword at Lin Feng. "I only glanced at you a few times, and you're already attacking me? Aren't you being too unreasonable?" Lin Feng shouted gloomily as he ran. "You're looking at me lecherously. Naturally, I'll hack you to death," the woman said coldly. "The hell? In all honesty, since when did I look at you lecherously?" This little girl was too sensitive. Lin Feng felt the urge to vomit blood. He ran outside while the woman chased after him with her sword. After running out of the cabin, he noticed that many people had gathered on the deck. Everyone was looking deep into the ship. Lin Feng pointed at the ship's depths. The woman who was chasing after him also stopped. She couldn't help but look into the depths. She saw black fog rolling in the depths. The black fog seemed to be connected to another world. That world was cold, sinister, and terrifying. It emanated an aura of death. "Go, go, go!" the ship's master ordered. The cultivators controlling the ship quickly changed their course and rushed into the distance. "It's getting more and more sinister." Lin Feng took a deep breath. He noticed that the woman had put away her sword and was walking into the cabin. Lin Feng rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "The deep-sea monsters must be coming. I don't care about you guys anymore. I'm leaving. I can't stay on this ship anymore," the old man said. He flew into the distance. "Is that old man scared out of his wits?" someone muttered. They felt that the old man was completely immersed in his story and couldn't extricate himself. Suddenly, a wretched cry rang out from afar. A swarm of black-colored flying insects flew out from the black fog to wrap around the old man. In an instant, the old man was reduced to a pile of white bones. "What the hell is that?" Many people felt their scalps go numb. "Hurry, hurry, hurry! The black fog is coming!" Many people shouted. The ship's speed was pushed to the limit. It quickly rushed into the distance. An hour later, in the black fog, an ancient ship rushed out. Ha 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 ha, we're out. An earth-shaking roar came from the ancient ship. It was countless undead creatures. The aura of the young world is so good. We used to live in the young world, but now we have to suffer in the young world. It feels so good to be able to return to the young world. I don't want to go back to that damned place in the young world anymore. Many undead creatures roared in excitement. Then, the rotten bodies of these undead creatures began to return to normal. It didn't take long for them to become normal people again. Hey, how did our bodies recover? Many undead creatures shouted in disbelief. It's the captain. It must be the captain. It's said that the captain is comprehending the Great Fate technique. Could it be that the captain has already comprehended the Great Fate technique? He can actually turn us into normal people? An undead creature shouted in shock. At this time, the captain walked out. The captain became a burly middle-aged man. The recovery of the body is only temporary. The curse of the ship of curse can't be broken. Unless you can really comprehend the Great Fate technique, you can't break the curse. However, it's not that easy to comprehend the Great Fate technique. Now, let's go and catch the person who has the 2 ancient coin. Let's add a new member to our ship of curse. The captain shouted loudly. Catch that person, catch that person. Let him have the same miserable fate as us. All the people on the boat of curse roared. Around the ship of curse, the seawater churned violently. In the depths of the sea, there seemed to be a huge monster slowly emerging from the water. Chapter 1979. A storm raged, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. It was still daytime, but it was as dark as night. Dark clouds rolled, causing one's heart to tremble. Lin Feng stood on the deck. At this moment, the restrictions on the ship had been lifted, so there was no need to worry about being drenched by the rain. Looks like I'll have to perform a divination, Monkey Shio said. Lin Feng could not help but ask, Aren't you a monk? You actually know how to perform divination? Monkey Shio pressed his palms together and said, Buddha says that it's never too old to learn. Lin Feng was speechless. Did Buddha say that? Monkey Shio was also a weirdo. Monkey Shio took out 3 tortoise shells and a jade tube. He put the tortoise shells into the jade tube. Lin Feng said in shock, Is this the Hotian 64 trigrams divination technique? Monkey Shio said in surprise, Benefactor Lin knows this divination technique as well? The most popular technique in the world of cultivators was the Xiantian 8 trigrams technique. Of course, the various sects were mainly Taoists. Their divination techniques were mostly derived from the Xiantian 8 trigrams. In fact, the Celestial Master sect's inheritance also had extremely profound divination techniques. However, Lin Feng had only obtained a very small portion of the Celestial Master sect's inheritance. Therefore, Lin Feng had not been able to learn the divination techniques, but he still had some understanding of the various divination techniques. Among the various divination techniques, the truly powerful one was the Hotian 64 trigrams. In the past, Princess Trigram Fa had used the Xiantian 8 trigrams as a foundation and evolved it into the Hotian 64 trigrams. GFA's evolution of the Xiantian 8 trigrams into the Hotian 64 trigrams had simply created an era. However, he died very early, so his Hotian 64 trigrams had not been popularized. Those who knew the Hotian 64 trigrams were too rare. As time passed, it was almost impossible to find cultivators who knew the Hotian 64 trigrams. Monkey Shio was indeed knowledgeable. He actually knew the divination techniques recorded in the Hotian 64 trigrams. Lin Feng said, I've heard of the 64 Hotian hexagram, and I've read some introductions about it. This is an ancient technique that I obtained by chance. However, even after studying it for many years, I've only scratched the surface of it. Emperor GFA's post-celestial hexagram is too mysterious, Monkey Shio said. Lin Feng replied, Even if I've only scratched the surface, I'm sure it's still incredibly mysterious. Monkey Show smiled and didn't say anything else. He began to perform divination. He held the jade tube with both hands and shook it. Then, he kept chanting all kinds of incantations. These incantations were very ancient and mysterious. Lin Feng didn't understand the contents of these incantations. Seeing Monkey Show performing divination here, many people surrounded him. Walala, suddenly, Monkey Show took out the tortoiseshell from the jade tube. He glanced at the 3 pieces of tortoiseshell, and was so scared that his face turned pale, and he sat down on the ground. What? Is the divination not good? Lin Feng asked in a deep voice. It's wrong. It must be wrong. Let me do it again. Monkey Show gritted his teeth and took out 2 more pieces of tortoiseshell. Using tortoiseshell to perform divination was very particular. The more tortoiseshell one used, the more accurate the divination would be. However, it didn't mean that one could use as many as they wanted. If one's cultivation wasn't high enough and forcefully used more tortoiseshell to perform divination, they would suffer a severe backlash. At that time, they might even go berserk and die. Under normal circumstances, Monkey Show could use 3 pieces of tortoiseshell to perform divination. This way, his body wouldn't be damaged. However, Monkey Show's divination with 3 pieces of tortoiseshell seemed to be inaccurate. Lin Feng guessed that this kind of divination definitely wasn't a good one, so Monkey Show took out 2 more pieces of tortoiseshell. This was his limit. Monkey Show placed 5 pieces of tortoiseshell into the jade tube. Then, he held the jade tube with both hands and began to shake it. At the same time, he kept chanting. A monk's divination? Is it reliable? Someone muttered. It seemed that they didn't trust Monkey Show's divination skills. Regardless of whether others believed it or not, Lin Feng trusted Monkey Show quite a bit. Pfft! Monkey Show's divination with 5 pieces of tortoiseshell was indeed met with a backlash. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale. Stop it! Lin Feng said in a deep voice. He and Monkey Show hit it off quite well. Although they had only known each other for a short period of time, the 2 of them could be considered good friends. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't wish to see Monkey Show get seriously injured because of divination. Moreover, there were still some people around who were making sarcastic remarks. This made Lin Feng very unhappy. It's fine, Monkey Show said. He didn't intend to give up. He chanted another incantation and spat out another 2 mouthfuls of blood. He had finally completed his divination. Walala! 5 pieces of tortoiseshell fell from the jade tube onto the ground and were scattered all over the place. Among the crowd, there were people who had some understanding of divination. When they saw how messy the divination was, their expressions changed. Such a messy divination, I'm afraid it's inauspicious, the cultivator said in a deep voice. Lin Feng also had some understanding of divination. The more scattered the divination, the more inauspicious it was. Master, what does the divination say? Someone asked. Dark clouds cover the sun, darkness descends, the universe reverses, the dead spirits reappear. Monkey Show said 16 words. Master, what does that mean? Can you be more specific? Many people didn't understand. It means, good luck to all of you, Monkey Show said with a bitter smile. Damn, how can you say that? Can't you say something nice? I've already said it. Can a monk's divination be reliable? Many people looked at each other coldly. Lin Feng had already guessed this situation. Everyone wanted to hear something nice. Therefore, it was very easy to offend people when speaking the truth. Therefore, what Monkey Show did was a thankless task. Get lost! Lin Feng looked coldly at these cultivators. F***ck, who do you think you are? Are you looking for a beating? Many people looked coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said coldly, Teach them a lesson. Wan Yin stepped forward, emitting a powerful aura. Many people felt the terrifying aura in Wan Yang's body and were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They didn't dare to say anything and quickly retreated. Lin Feng stood at the side to guard Monkey Show. He had suffered a backlash and was adjusting his body. If he didn't treat it in time, it would cause serious damage to his body. Rumble! Suddenly, the ship shook violently. What happened? Many people's expressions changed. Many cultivators in the cabins rushed out. Bang! The next moment, the ship shook again. Something seemed to be hitting the ship at the bottom of the sea. Chapter 1980. Monkey Shio opened his eyes, but his face was still pale. He had suffered a backlash and needed to recuperate. He wouldn't recover so quickly. How do you feel? Lin Feng asked. Much better, Monkey Shio said. Master, the situation doesn't seem good. Should we leave this ancient ship? Wan Yang said. Let's wait for a while. If we leave now, we'll be the first to stick our neck out. The first to die will definitely be the first to move, Lin Feng said. Okay. Wan Yang nodded. Rumble. The ship shook again, this time even more violently than before. Hurry up and rush out. Many people shouted anxiously. But soon, a terrified voice came from the control room. The ship can't move! As expected. At this moment, everyone realized that the ship really couldn't move. It was as if something was sucking the ancient ship, making the ancient ship unable to move even a single step. Many people were pale with fright. Hurry up and leave the ancient ship! Many cultivators shouted as they rushed into the distance. But just as they flew out, suddenly, in the sea, a powerful devouring force was emitted. A huge whirlpool appeared in the sea. It was this whirlpool. It emitted a powerful devouring force. All the cultivators who rushed out of the ancient ship, they were all devoured by the huge whirlpool. After seeing this scene, many people were so scared that their faces turned pale. There were many powerful cultivators among those cultivators, but they died without even causing a ripple. It was truly hair-raising. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, something started to violently hit the bottom of the ship. It's leaking! The ship is leaking! Soon, someone in the cabin shouted in horror. Whoosh! A huge tentacle reached out from the sea. It was at least 1,000 meters tall. Then, it fell from the sky and smashed towards the ancient ship. The tentacle was as black as ink, and if one looked carefully, there were sharp barbs at the end of the tentacle. The tentacle looked like the tail of a scorpion. Hurry up and dodge! Seeing the huge tentacle smashing down, many people screamed in horror. Then, everyone hurriedly dodged. Bang! But when the huge tentacle smashed onto the ancient ship, many people were still smashed into meat paste. They died on the spot. Heavens, what is that? Lin Feng saw the thick tentacle and felt his scalp go numb. The tentacle was actually covered with densely packed poisonous snakes. The tails of the poisonous snakes, and the tentacles. Each poisonous snake was at least 3 to 4 meters long. Some of the poisonous snakes were longer. Some were even 7 meters long. These venomous snakes opened their bloody mouths and bit at the cultivators. Ah! Screams rang out one after another. Many people had their heads bitten off by the poisonous snakes on the spot. There were also many people who were bitten by the venomous snakes and screamed in agony. Slash! Slash slash. Lin Feng was holding his black dragon sword and was about to kill the snake. Slash! Slash slash! One by one, the heads of the poisonous snakes were chopped off by Lin Feng. Many people were attacking the huge tentacle, and the tentacle suddenly swung. Bang bang bang, many cultivators were directly whipped to death. Behind. Wan Yang roared. Lin Feng was shocked and turned to look. He saw a second huge tentacle falling from the sky. The second tentacle was also covered with densely packed poisonous snakes. He didn't know what kind of creature was at the bottom of the sea. The tentacle was like the tail of a scorpion, and it was densely packed with poisonous snakes. He had never seen such a creature before, even if he had never heard of it. He quickly moved to the left. Bang! The next moment, the huge tentacle smashed down. Many cultivators were directly smashed into meat paste. Lin Feng narrowly avoided the huge tentacle smashing down like a mountain. Run! Many people rushed out. They wanted to run for their lives. Splash, splash! Something even more terrifying happened. Densely packed tentacles stretched out from the sea. Then, those tentacles whipped towards the cultivators who were running away. Many cultivators were whipped into meat paste on the spot. How many tentacles does it have? Seeing those densely packed tentacles, Lin Feng's face was full of shock. Even if it was an octopus monster, it didn't have so many tentacles. This monster had too many tentacles. The densely packed tentacles seemed to cover the sky. They smashed towards the ship. Get on the ship and break out. Lin Feng took out the Xianyuan ancient ship and shouted. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Lin Feng, Wanyan Yang, and Monkey Xiu rushed onto the ancient ship one after another. Then, the Xianyuan ancient ship quickly rushed out. Huge tentacles shot towards the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship. Fire! Lin Feng shouted and gave the order. Boom, 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 boom. A dense barrage of spirit stone shells flew out and bombarded those tentacles. Those tentacles were bombarded and bloody. Screech! The unknown terrifying creature hidden in the sea let out a painful roar. More tentacles smashed towards the Xianyuan ancient ship. Seeing those huge tentacles covering the sky, Lin Feng felt his scalp go numb. However, he had seen many storms. He could still remain calm. Lin Feng activated the Emperor's Mark. The Xianyuan ancient ship directly slammed into those tentacles. The Emperor's Mark swept towards the tentacles. Puff! Many tentacles were torn apart by the Emperor's Mark and black blood gushed out. A gap finally appeared in the tentacles that sealed the world. That ancient ship is about to escape. Quick, let's go! Many cultivators saw that the Xianyuan ancient starry sky vessel was about to break out of the encirclement, and quickly rushed towards the Xianyuan ancient starry sky vessel. They wanted to board the Xianyuan ancient ship to escape danger. However, they were attacked by those huge tentacles and many people died tragically. Only the black-robed woman managed to escape to Lin Feng. However, the Xianyuan ancient ship was protected by restrictions and she couldn't enter. The black-robed woman cried out anxiously. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown when he saw the black-robed woman, and immediately opened the restrictions. Let this woman in. Bang, bang, bang! The dense spirit stone shells and the Emperor's Mark finally blew up a huge tentacle. Swoosh! The Xianyuan ancient ship turned into a stream of light, and quickly rushed out. Lin Feng looked in the direction of the ship. A dense mass of tentacles wrapped around the entire huge ship. In the sea, huge waves surged. The gigantic ship was connected to all the cultivators. They were all dragged into the sea in an instant. It was too tragic. Swoosh! The Xianyuan ancient ship didn't dare to stop and raised its speed to the limit. It turned into a stream of light. It rushed into the distance. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. Chapter 1981. Inside the cabin, the deity realm clone controlled the ancient ship, Xianyuan, to travel at high speed. Lin Feng frowned slightly and said, Could that monster be the deep-sea monster that the old man mentioned? This? Monkey Xiu's expression changed. The reason for that was because the story told by that old man was simply too legendary. It was very difficult for them to believe it. However, a monster had appeared out of nowhere. It was so terrifying. What was it? Monkey Xiu could not figure it out. I'm not sure. The only fortunate thing is that we managed to get rid of that damnable monster. However, the sad thing is that so many people died. Monkey Xiu sighed. He was a Buddhist. He was compassionate, and bemoaned the state of the universe. That was why he had seen so many people die. His heart was filled with grief. Monkey Xiu sat down cross-legged and began to chant sutras for the dead. Lin Feng walked out with Wan and Yang. When he saw the black-dressed woman on the deck, he smiled and said, Why are you chasing me so closely? Are you plotting something against me? Let me tell you, I'm a decent man. After seeing Lin Feng, the black-dressed woman glared at Lin Feng. She had no intention of thanking him. Instead, she pulled out her treasured sword and said fiercely, "If I knew this ship was yours, I wouldn't have boarded it even if I had to die in the hands of that monster." Lin Feng smiled and said, "You have a treasured sword in your hand. It's not too late to die now. Let me teach you. Hold the sword hilt with your right hand and place it on your neck. Then, exert force with your wrist. With just a little bit of strength, I'll be able to burn paper money for you. Before I die, I'll kill you first." The black-dressed woman swung her treasured sword at Lin Feng. Lin Feng dodged and shouted, "Is there any justice in this world? I saved you, and this is how you repay your savior?" "Humph!" The black-dressed woman snorted coldly and put away her treasured sword. Then she said, "Help me clean up a room. I want a rest." Lin Feng said, "There are plenty of rooms. You can choose whatever you want." The woman in the black dress pulled out her sword and shouted, "I asked you to help me clean up, didn't you hear me? Hurry up and go!" He raised his sword and was about to chop down. Lin Feng wanted to cry but had no tears. This is the young master's ancient ship. Why was he being bullied to this extent? Because you're a beauty. Your young master, will endure. A good man doesn't fight with a woman. Lin Feng helped the woman clean up a room and then quickly left the room. God knows if he would have been chopped off by this woman if he had been a step slower. At this moment, Monkey Xiu had also finished ferrying the souls of the dead cultivators. He walked out and said, "Femme fatale! Femme fatale!" Lin Feng asked, "What do you mean?" "To tell you the truth, Almsgiver Lin, I think Almsgiver Lin is destined for a calamity of romance," Monkey Xiu said. Having good luck with women was a good thing. Naturally, a peach blossom calamity was not a good thing. Lin Feng said angrily, "Can't you hope for something better?" Monkey Xiu said, "I came to this conclusion after looking at your face." Lin Feng was speechless. "Bro, you're a monk. You don't recite scriptures or Buddhist scriptures. All you do is study Taoist divination techniques and read people's faces. Isn't this too much of an occupation?" Although Lin Feng felt apprehensive, Monkey Xiu was still very capable. Lin Feng asked, "How do you explain this peach blossom calamity?" Monkey Xiu said, "There are only 4 people on this ship, 3 men and 1 woman. Isn't it obvious how you explain the peach blossom calamity? Are you talking about that tigress?" Lin Feng rubbed his chin and said softly, "People say that a woman with a good figure will bring luck to her husband. Although that tigress has a bad temper, she's definitely bringing luck to her husband no matter how you look at it." Lin Feng had some reservations about the woman in the black dress. However, he still looked at the figure of the woman in the black dress with an appreciative gaze. Even with his picky eyes, the woman in the black dress could be considered a top-grade product. Moreover, she was a typical peach blossom calamity. Monkey Xiu said, "A peach blossom calamity doesn't necessarily bring luck to her husband. If she wants to trick you, you can't do anything about it. Chasing her off the ship now is the best way." "Is that a good idea?" Lin Feng asked. "Isn't that too ungentlemanly?" He continued to mutter, "The peach blossom calamity is coming. What's the point of being gentlemanly? Can gentlemanly be used as a meal?" Monkey Xiu said. Monkey Xiu was a kind person. If the problem hadn't worsened, he wouldn't have said that. Of course, he wouldn't have said such things. Lin Feng said, "Since there's no danger now, it's fine to let her go down early. I'll go to her room and tell her about this." Monkey Xiu nodded and patted Lin Feng's shoulder. Lin Feng went to the woman in the black dress room and knocked on the door. "Are you asleep?" "No. I have something to talk to you about." "Speak outside." Lin Feng rolled his eyes. "This is my ancient ship. I can go wherever I want," he said. "I want to talk inside." "Come in, then." Lin Feng pushed the door open and entered. As soon as he entered the room, a delicate figure pressed against him. The woman in the black dress hugged Lin Feng. "This isn't good, right? We don't know each other yet. Aren't we developing too quickly?" Lin Feng said. This woman's attitude made him a little confused. Earlier, she had wanted to hack him with her sword. Now she was throwing herself at him. Lin Feng wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Beauty, can you not be cold to me one moment and gentle to me the next? I can't guess what you're thinking. In the vast sea of people, I'm all alone. Sometimes I'll feel empty, lonely, and cold. I don't ask for everlasting love. I just want to be with you for a while. The woman in the black dress said. Lin Feng became excited. What did she mean? Could it be that she wanted to be with him? This wasn't a peach blossom calamity. This was clearly his luck with women. Brother monk, you've miscalculated. Lin Feng pinched the woman's delicate chin. Looking at her delicate face, the more he looked at it, the more beautiful it seemed. Then, he slowly lowered his head and kissed her red lips. Unexpectedly, the woman in the black dress sent him flying with a slap. Bang! Lin Feng's body slammed into the cabin. What's going on? What's the meaning of this? Lin Feng was still confused. The woman in the black dress had already charged over with her sword. Stinking pervert, I'll kill you! Lin Feng wanted to cry. Tigress, you're the one who seduced me. Now you're calling me a pervert. Don't be unreasonable. Lin Feng ran outside. After the woman in the black dress chased him outside, she glared at Lin Feng and said, I'll spare you this time, but don't let me see you again. After saying that, the woman in the black dress soared into the sky and flew away. Damn, what bad luck! What a calamity! Lin Feng shouted gloomily. It's good that she's gone, Monkey Shio said. 6 hours later. On the sea that was originally clear and boundless. Suddenly dark clouds rolled. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. In the sea, waves rose to the sky. Seeing this scene, the expressions of Lin Feng and the others changed greatly. That mysterious monster is here, Yi Futian muttered. P.S. Archaic Dragonesque Elephant Technique Group Number 426393872. Those who haven't joined the group, please add. There are cute girls and little fresh meats in the group. There's bound to be one that suits you. Chapter 1982. How could this be? Why is that monster chasing after us? Could it be that it doesn't want to let any of the people who appeared on that ship off? Lin Feng's face was grim. The fact that the monster was chasing after them was something that had him bewildered. Monkey Shio frowned. We're in trouble now that we've been targeted by the monster. We've got to get rid of it as soon as possible. Yes. Lin Feng nodded his head. He then ordered his God State clone to push the speed of the Xianyuan ship to its maximum. Shh! The Xianyuan ship turned into a streak of light and shot off into the distance. But no matter how fast they were, the skies above them were filled with thunder and lightning. Dark clouds were rumbling, and torrential rain was pouring down. This meant that they had not been able to get rid of the monster. Why was the monster chasing after them? Lin Feng could not figure it out. But now was not the time to be thinking about it. The most important thing right now was to get rid of the monster as soon as possible. Lin Feng activated the ability of the ancient ship to traverse through the void, wanting to leave this place immediately. But Lin Feng soon realized that the void around them had been sealed. The Xianyuan ship could fly, and even sail through the seas. But there was no way for it to traverse through the void. This is bad. Lin Feng's face turned grim. He had to get ready for battle now. Splash! Splash! Suddenly, a tentacle burst out from the depths of the sea. Waves surged into the skies as they rumbled furiously. That gigantic tentacle slammed down at the Xianyuan ship viciously. The mountain-like tentacle slammed down, as though the void was about to be torn apart. Fire the cannons! Lin Feng bellowed out as the spirit stone cannon focused its firepower on that gigantic tentacle. A dense cluster of spirit stone cannons. It was as though they could blast a hole in the heavens and earth. Bam! Bam! After the spirit stone cannons exploded, the gigantic tentacle was blasted into a bloody mess. Screech! The monster in the depths of the sea roared out in rage. Splash! 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 Then, an even more terrifying scene appeared. Tentacles stretched out one after another. As far as the eye could see, the ancient ship was surrounded by giant tentacles. They surrounded the area in all directions. Rumble! Suddenly, the ancient ship shook violently. Monkey Shio said in a deep voice, "I'm afraid the ancient ship has been sucked in by the gigantic monster. The previous ship was sucked in by the gigantic monster and was unable to move before it was devoured. Launch torpedo shells!" Lin Feng ordered with a gloomy expression. The torpedo shells were also refined by alchemists. This kind of torpedo shell was even more precious. Ordinary ancient ships couldn't afford such a precious torpedo shell. But for Lin Feng, this amount of money was naturally nothing. Countless torpedo shells were released by the humanoid puppet. Bang, bang, bang. Below, the torpedo shells began to explode. Bang, bang, bang. At the same time, the spirit stone cannons also fired a dense number of spirit stone cannons at the huge tentacles that were smashing towards them. Lin Feng also activated the Emperor Rune. It swept towards the tentacles. Boom, boom, boom. Under the sea, torpedo shells exploded. Waves of 10,000 feet high were blasted into the sky. Screech! Immediately after, an angry roar resounded throughout the world. This gigantic monster had obviously been injured, but the damage it had suffered was much less than Lin Feng had imagined. Moreover, the damage the monster's tentacles had suffered was also much less than Lin Feng had imagined. This monster's defensive power was so strong that even Lin Feng felt it was inconceivable. Bang, bang, bang. The monster's tentacles ruthlessly smashed towards the Xianyuan ancient ship. When the mountain-like tentacles came crashing down, Zhang Xian was stunned. The Emperor Rune of the Xianyuan ancient ship swept towards these tentacles and tore them apart. Black blood with a foul smell flowed out. It emitted a foul smell. After smelling that foul smell, Lin Feng felt dizzy. Not good. The monster's blood contains a highly toxic poison. He quickly took out the white jade toad and let it detoxify the poison for the three of them. After the poison was detoxified, Lin Feng and the other two quickly sealed their sixth senses. At this time, clumps of black chi suddenly spread out from the huge tentacles. The black chi wrapped around the huge tentacles. Those tentacles wrapped around the Xianyuan ancient ship. A terrifying scene unfolded. When the Emperor Rune of the Xianyuan ancient ship swept across the tentacles, the black chi dissolved it. Seeing this scene, everyone's faces turned pale with shock. Wasn't this too terrifying? It was simply unheard of and hard to believe. The tentacles that resisted the Emperor Rune's attack completely wrapped around the Xianyuan ancient ship. The monster wants to drag us to the bottom of the sea. Monk Ishio's face changed. The huge ship from before had been dragged down like this. The ship fell silent, and all the cultivators died tragically. Now, this monster wanted to use the same method to destroy the Xianyuan ancient ship. Although they knew what this monster wanted to do, Lin Feng and the other two couldn't think of a way to deal with this monster. That was because this giant monster was simply too powerful. It was so powerful that it made people despair. A giant God Realm expert had come. Most likely, only death awaited them. Could this fellow really be one of the legendary deep-sea monsters? Lin Feng thought of the story that the old man had told him. At this moment, Monkey Shio and Wanyan Yang were increasingly convinced that the story was true. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt his abdomen heating up. Puzzled, he put his hand into his clothes. What's this? Lin Feng clearly felt that he had touched something. He took it out and found that it was a gold coin. The front of this gold coin had the image of an ancient immortal country, while the back had the image of many small people offering sacrifices. Heavens, could it be? Could it be? Lin Feng's eyes widened, and he shouted in disbelief. That story is true! This is the Tushi ancient coin! That tigress secretly gave it to me! Lin Feng thought of the scene where that tigress had uncharacteristically hugged him. Clearly, she had given it to him at that time. Thinking of this, Lin Feng wanted to cry but had no tears. A peach blossom calamity! Monkey Shio said with a wry smile. Originally, He had thought that Lin Feng's peach blossom calamity would disappear after the black-robed woman left. He hadn't expected that the black-robed woman would make a fool out of him. Lin Feng wanted to throw the Tushi ancient coin away. Suddenly, the coin turned into a diagram and branded itself on his arm. At the same time, the deep-sea monster issued a sharp and ear-piercing cry. Bang! A powerful force came pouring down from the sky. The Xianyuan ancient ship was directly dragged into the water by the deep-sea monster. The sea surface, which had been surging with huge waves, instantly quieted down. Chapter 1983. Now that the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship was being dragged down, the situation was extremely bad. Lin Feng's expression turned extremely ugly. If they couldn't find a way to break free from the deep-sea monster, they would definitely die this time. At this moment, they finally saw what kind of creature the deep-sea monster was. This deep-sea monster had a head like a spider, a body like a giant squid, and tentacles like a scorpion's tail. They didn't know how many tentacles there were. Lin Feng had never seen such an ugly, ferocious beast. It was like a beast from hell. What do we do now? Monkey Shio asked. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He didn't have a good way to deal with this deep-sea monster. However, he didn't wait for death. He ordered the humanoid puppet to release all the torpedoes and shells. At the same time, all the spirit stone cannons continued to fire spirit stone shells at the deep-sea monster. The ancient ship's Emperor runes were still activated, emitting a destructive power. These Emperor runes continued to attack the deep-sea monster. Lin Feng brought out the 9 demons diagram, revered sword tomb, and purple lightning hammer to attack the deep-sea monster. He was doing 3 things at once. This was his limit. Monkey Shio also brought out his treasure. It was a demon subduing staff. It swept lightly. It could shatter the void. Its power was incomparably strong. Wanyan Yang also brought out his giant divine weapon, the god's slaying axe, and slashed at the tentacles entangling the ancient ship. Powerful axe lights slashed out one after another. Lin Feng and the other 2 brought out their magic treasures and coordinated with the Emperor runes to launch their strongest attacks against the deep-sea monster. However, the black fog surrounding the deep-sea monster was too terrifying. The black fog actually blocked the Emperor runes and the attacks of Lin Feng and the others. This made their expressions extremely unsightly. Moreover, venom flowed out from the tentacles and began to corrode the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship's defensive restrictions. The Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship's defensive restrictions also began to crack. After seeing this, Lin Feng and the other 2's expressions changed greatly. When the restrictions completely cracked open. At that time, only death would await them. However, in the face of the deep-sea monster's attacks, they simply didn't have the strength to resist. Crack! Crack! The restrictions continued to crack open. Even the most optimistic people couldn't help but despair. Lin Feng's expression was extremely gloomy. If he were to die here, he would not be able to accept it. Shwa! At this extremely dangerous moment, suddenly, a beam of sword chi flew over from above. Pooh! The sword chi directly slashed at the giant tentacle of the deep-sea monster that was as huge as a mountain. The monster's tentacles with heaven-defying defense was instantly torn. Moreover, the sword chi did not dissipate even after cutting off one of the tentacles. After cutting off more than a dozen tentacles, the sword chi finally dissipated. What a powerful sword chi! The Xianyuan ancient Starsky ships was ancient Emperor Sky ship Emperor ancient starry sky ship. Shriek! The Shriek Dragon Sky ship sky ancient Xianyuan ancient sky. Sky Starry was sent. Li Feng, sky Tian sky. The monster was infuriated. It didn't even care about Lin Feng and the others anymore. Lin Feng and the Xianyuan ancient Starsky ship's faces lit up. The Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship immediately rushed towards the sea. Soon, the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship returned to the sea. The Red World Fairy! Lin Feng looked at the woman floating in the air in surprise. She was delicate and charming, looking like a 16 or 17-year-old girl. There were bells tied to her snow-white ankles and wrists. Whenever venerable red dust moved slightly, the 4 bells would let out a clear and crisp sound of collision. She is the Red World Fairy? Monkey Shio was obviously very surprised. Wanyan Yang was also very shocked. The Red World Fairy, the #1 expert in 9 prefectures. Who didn't know her? Who didn't know her? They had never imagined that Venerable Hong Chen was actually a young girl who looked only 16 or 17 years old. Lin Feng nodded with a wry smile. When he first saw the Red World Fairy, he was also very surprised. She looked exactly the same as Monkey Shio and Wanyan Yang. Just now, it was obvious that the Red World Fairy had slashed out a sword chi. It had injured the deep-sea monster. Therefore, it had angered the deep-sea monster. Now, after the deep-sea monster rushed out, numerous tentacles smashed towards the Red World Fairy. It was like a huge mountain was smashing towards the Red World Fairy. Facing the deep-sea monster's attack, the Red World Fairy raised her right hand. She gently moved her hand in the air. Every time she moved her hand, then, a powerful sword chi would fly out. It slashed towards the tentacles smashing towards her. Puff! 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 Each sword chi could cut off a dozen tentacles. Half of the tentacles that had been cut off fell to the ground, and blood immediately gushed out from them. Too powerful! The Red World Fairy is really too powerful! Lin Feng and the other 2 were deeply shocked. Of course. After all, Lin Feng had seen the Red World Fairy fight before. Therefore, when he saw the Red World Fairy fight again, he was shocked. But soon, he calmed down a lot. Monkey Shio and Wanyan Yang couldn't calm down for a long time. The combat power that the Red World Fairy had shown. Their hearts were deeply shaken. But soon, they discovered another thing that made them turn pale with fright. The severed tentacles of the deep-sea monster were actually regenerated in a very short time. Oh my God, what ability is this? Lin Feng and the others looked at each other. Even if its body was cut off, it could be regenerated in a short time. This ability was too heaven-defying. It had such a heaven-defying ability. The deep-sea monster was almost impossible to kill. Even Senior Immortal Hong Chen furrowed her brows slightly. How many lives have been buried in that endless darkness? That pitch-black night will swallow the starry sky. I will banish you into that endless darkness. I will let you die in loneliness. The Red World Fairy's voice resounded between heaven and earth. As her voice faded away, a world of darkness appeared. That world of darkness. It directly enveloped the deep-sea monster. No one knew what kind of place that world of darkness was. The only thing they knew was that it was definitely not the 9 provinces' great world. The deep-sea monster was very difficult to kill. So, the Red World Fairy wanted to banish the deep-sea monster directly into that world of darkness. The Red World Fairy wanted to trap the deep-sea monster in that world of darkness. The darkness descended and began to devour the deep-sea monster. The deep-sea monster roared and kept struggling. However, the Red World Fairy's supernatural power was too powerful. The deep-sea monster couldn't break free at all. Its huge body was being devoured by the world of darkness bit by bit. She is really too strong. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng and the others couldn't help but feel their blood boiling. The Red World Fairy's strength made them very envious. She was indeed the strongest person in the 9 provinces' great world. She was really too heaven-defying. The deep-sea monster was about to be banished into that world of darkness by the Red World Fairy. Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound resounded through the sky. Then, a pitch-black ancient ship came through the void and crashed into that world of darkness. That world of darkness was directly smashed into pieces. And the deep-sea monster broke free.